Hello, and welcome to Back Through the Lens, where two film school friends talk about movies through the haze of nostalgia, the good, the bad, and the ones that aren't quite how we remember them. I'm your host, Rachel, and with me is my co-host, Joe. Today's movie is National Lampoon's Vacation.
Summertime often means cashing in your vacation hours, especially if you have children. Waiting for the 3 months of the year when schedules align to pack up the family for some quality time, forced or otherwise, can put an added pressure to an ideal getaway. Where do we go? What do we do? How do we get there? All things to take into consideration because one wrong decision can turn destination into disaster.
It's true.
And roll credits.
This movie was actually a documentary.
Oh, God. Could be.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
So it's so appropriate that we're talking about this movie because you and I both just got back from vacation.
Yeah, that was also just weirdly timed in itself.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of worked out perfectly.
Yeah, we didn't even plan it that way. We should do that all the time.
Yeah. What, accidentally do that or actually plan it?
Take our vacations at the same time.
Right, but
Works
like
out
on
well.
accident? Yeah.
No, not on accident. So where'd you go on vacation?
It was half staycation, half up in Traverse City. We just wanted to get away a little bit, stretch our legs, so to speak, not go too far, not drive across the country, but, 6, 7 hour drive, not bad.
Yeah, that's still decent.
Yeah, that was a day, but we leave early enough and you still can do some stuff at night and
Mm-hmm.
then, crash early because you're tired from sitting all day. I don't know how driving makes you tired, but it does. Breweries, wineries, just kind of walking around and seeing the sights.
Nice. I need a brewery, winery kind of trip after my trip.
Yeah, you
uh,
went like all over California, didn't you?
yeah, we flew into San Francisco because my husband had some meetings in Silicon Valley for work. So the first couple days were me showing my kid around where we used to live in Silicon Valley and just kind of having what we call it adventure time around California without
Oh yeah.
dad. And then when he was done with work, we spent some time in San Francisco, drove down to Santa Cruz, Salinas, stayed a few nights in Monterey so we could do the aquarium there for my son. And I always wanted to see all the John Steinbeck stuff and Cannery Row and all that. And then we drove to Big Sur. We did the Pacific Coast Highway. It was very windy and slow because it's a lot of switchbacks and people stopping to look at the scenery, obviously. Speaking about being tired from driving, that took so much longer than we expected because of just the nature of the drive. And we had planned Pfeiffer Beach and Big Sur as our only real stop because we had gone there when we lived in California and we wanted to show it to our son. And there's this famous rock at Pfeiffer Beach with like a hole in the middle of it. And I got a picture of me and my husband and our old dog Tater in front of that spot when we lived there, 13 years ago. And then I got a family photo at the same spot. And I'm like personally very happy about that.
I find it funny. I mean, that's really cool. You got the same family photo.
Hmm.
You replaced the dog with the child,
Yeah, I know.
which is, still pretty cool, but also kind of funny.
But so we continued on down to Santa Barbara, spent some time walking around there, and then we did 3 days in LA and flew out of LA.
God, I'm tired just listening to that. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, the later half of the trip after we did the Pacific Coast Highway, we were very tired. We were all very
Yeah.
I had never been to Santa Barbara or LA. Like I've only really driven through Southern California. I never really stopped to see any of it. So I was so excited, but also so tired. So
Right.
we did spend a lot of time going back to the hotel and taking naps. So
Nice.
yeah, and trying to convince my son we should actually go to bed early, despite it being vacation and summer break.
Well, then you wake up early and do it all over again.
Yeah, yeah. We were not too ambitious with our sightseeing by the time he got to LA. We sort of saw a little bit of everything, like, definitely would love another crack at LA to see more of it, but you could tell we were all running out of steam by then.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to stay on the beachfront on one of the bays that come off of Lake Michigan. And then the first day we went to the dunes, it's about an hour away. Did a good hike. Did not go up and down the dunes because that was after the hike. Like, there's no way we're doing both. And also, there's
Yeah.
a warning sign saying, you might not be able to make it up and we'll charge you like a bajillion dollars if we have to rescue you.
Oh
So
my
don't die.
gosh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, not going to try that.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was cool. I liked the drive through the park before you even got to the dunes itself. I think maybe the most. It was very encompassing. It almost looked kind of scary, but in a kind of relaxing way. Like the trees were so thick up, not a lot of light came through, but
Mm,
just enough to look really cool. And it was kind of comforting in a weird way.
I can I can see that.
When you were in California, did you guys even consider going to Wally World?
No.
No? Ugh,
I've never been to Disney World or Disneyland, either of them, and now that I'm an adult who, like, isn't really into rides, and
mm,
I mean, I like Disney. I don't think I need to go to an entire park about it. I don't like it that much.
right.
Um, the idea of planning a Disney vacation seems very stressful and overwhelming to me,
And
especially because
expensive.
and expensive, yes. Especially because I know some people who go pretty regularly, and it just seems like such a huge undertaking.
Hmm.
Um, Also the fact that, living in the suburbs, I will go places where there are literal flyers for people you can hire to help plan your Disney vacation. And I just
Jesus.
feel like if it's so complicated that I need someone to help me plan it, that sounds like not fun.
Yeah.
I mean, just planning this California trip was stressful enough because, we had to plan certain stops, book various hotels all along the route, but it was fun because, like, once we got there, we didn't have that much of an agenda for any particular city. We maybe had, like, 1 or 2 things we really, really wanted to do, but we could just wander around and find good restaurants and whatever, so,
Right.
yeah.
I'd like to go as an adult because they've changed a lot. It's Universal too. I used to go a lot to Universal when I was younger, and that's changed a lot. I don't think there might be still a Simpson ride. I hope so, 'cause I never got to be on it, but that actually replaced the Back to the Future ride, which I used to love. I mean, they have the Star Wars park. They're doing a Nintendo one. I mean, you could probably spend a month down there and come back with like
Mhm.
15 mortgages on your house, I'm sure. But I'm kind of curious to check those out because things I would have loved as a kid and still do are there now that wasn't existing before. But also, I would like to kind of maybe do the around the world drinking and eating situation as an adult
Yeah.
because that
Yeah,
sounds fun.
I wouldn't mind going to Disney, either of them, just because I've never been, but there are just so many other places in the world I would rather go,
Like Disney
and
Euro.
well, right, sure. Well, it's funny because you mentioned that we went to Paris a year ago. We spent, like, under a week there, but, I had friends who were going to Disney at the same time, and they were like, "You should go to Disney Paris," and I kind of forgot there was a Disney in Paris at the time, but,
Right.
we spent less money going to Paris than
Oh,
our
yeah, I
friends
believe that.
spent going to Disney in the States. So,
Hmm.
these are always the things that come up in my head where I'm like, "Oh, it'd be fun to see Disney sometime," but realistically, do I want to spend all this effort and money when I could go to Europe for cheaper?
Yes, same. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I feel too.
So that being said, Wally World.
Yeah, let's get in the car and go.
Okay. Our movie today is National Lampoon's Vacation, directed by Harold Ramis, released July 29th, 1983, rated R, based on the short story Vacation 58 by John Hughes, who is also our screenwriter.
Clark Griswold works hard to provide for his family and decides he wants to treat them to a trip to Wally World, the big West Coast amusement park. But to maximize quality family time, Clark is insistent on making the journey to the park in a cross country road trip, from Chicago to LA. Will the Griswolds survive the road and each other and make it to Wally World in one piece?
The answer is kind of.
The answer is kind of.
Yeah.
Hmm. Spoiler.
Spoiler.
We're on the fence.
Yeah. So this was my first time seeing this.
Yeah, my bad for some reason. I guess that didn't come up in conversation when picking films for the summer.
That's
Didn't
okay.
know that, or maybe did and forgot. I think when discussing movies, for some reason, I felt you said you didn't see European Vacation, which is probably also true.
Yeah, I've only seen Christmas Vacation out of all of these.
Hmm, fair enough. My first time, middle school, early junior high, it was definitely after I've already seen and had Christmas Vacation kind of in the rotation for Christmas movies. And I knew it existed, just never got around to it. And I think it was on TV. Actually, we'll probably see later. It had to be on TV because there were some surprises during this watch.
I saw that in your notes.
Whoa. But yeah, I mean, I only remember certain parts. It's one of those things watch a movie on TV, at least for me, for some reason, it's always the same parts. It's weird. Like there are big chunks of the movie I'm like, I don't remember ever seeing, and not because it was on TV and censored, but just I don't remember this part of the movie.
Mhm.
And for some reason had also the sequel kind of in my head, which I definitely have seen a lot less than this one, which to be honest, I haven't seen this one very much. I would say 5 times or less, including recently. It's not Christmas Vacation. That's like the best one.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've only seen this and Christmas Vacation now, but still, I'm probably always gonna prefer Christmas Vacation just because it's like a family Christmas movie now. Like my family watches it every year on Christmas Eve. So that's like I have this whole bias about that. It's fine. But I know that I had seen parts of Vacation and I never know if it's because it was on cable or like I said, one of those VH1 clip shows like in the past. That's been
Mm,
how I've seen things, like seen scenes from movies that I don't think I've actually seen all the way through because there were some parts of this, especially them arriving to Wally World, that I know I've seen the clip before. When you said you'd seen the sequel more, do you mean European Vacation?
I've definitely seen Christmas Vacation the most. I think I've seen European Vacation less than this one, but I think they were around the same time. So some of those parts were I was anticipating some of those scenes for some reason, even though they're clearly in Europe for this movie, but they weren't there. Also, I was thinking of different child actors because they switch in every movie, as we talked about before, and
Yeah,
it just gets muddled if it's not in the house with the lights in the snow. I don't know which vacation movie I'm talking about.
that's fair, I guess. Yeah. It was funny because when we talked about Christmas Vacation, I let my son watch it with me. And there are some inappropriate jokes in that one, obviously, but it wasn't to me, I didn't think it was so bad for him to watch, and a lot of the inappropriate stuff kinda went over his head anyway. I am so glad I didn't let him watch this one because, first of all, did not realize it was rated R until I had looked back over the notes for the intro. Yeah, I'm maybe a little surprised that somehow it got less raunchy as the movies went on. At least as far as I can tell between this and Christmas Vacation, because Christmas is PG-13.
Yeah.
Because I feel like usually you don't see it go that way, you see it go the other way, like we saw with the Naked Gun movies.
Yeah, good point. Well, maybe as we talked about in the past about ratings and broadening your audience, that PG-13 could help bring more butts in the seats.
I think the real question is when did Porky's come out in relation to all of this?
Oh, well, it would have been closer to this one than not.
Yeah, I
81 to 83. They're like,
know. Yep.
"Hey, Porky's, we gotta have some you know what in here. Let's do it."
Mhm.
And then they did it.
And then they did it.
And they're like, "You know what? Maybe we don't do this anymore. Maybe we're not Porky's. Why does
May
Porky's haunt us still?"
maybe by the time Christmas Vacation came out, they were like, "Look how many hit movies we've had without nudity. It's amazing. We don't have to do it anymore."
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, anyway, as we stated, our screenplay was written by John Hughes based on his short story Vacation 58. That was published in National Lampoon magazine in the September 1979 issue. John Hughes was working for National Lampoon as a writer at this point in his career. We talk a lot more about this in our Christmas vacation episode, which is episode 26, if you would like to go back and listen to that. But to recap, he was working at the magazine. He was able to secure movie deals seemingly very easily, which we go into in the other episode. He just left Hollywood with tons of deals because Animal House had done really well in 1978. National Lampoon was seen as a hot commodity, and it seemed like a lot of the guys involved with National Lampoon were just landing movie deals, script writing for the most part, but then some of them went into producing,
Yeah, he had so many deals that darn, he had to move from Chicago to LA just to work on so many movies.
which he actually did not want to do, but
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get up and move either. I understand that. But the point I'm making, sarcastically or not, is that he did so well on his one
mhm,
trip to Hollywood, and everyone's like,
exactly.
"Hey, I need you to make 15 movies like now. So I don't think you have time to live in Chicago anymore.
Right.
I need you to edit this movie while you write this one and shoot this one. Let's go."
Yeah. Okay. So, according to Maddie Simmons, they showed the script to Paramount first, and Paramount said it was too episodic and wouldn't make a good movie. And Maddie Simmons' argument was that a road trip is episodic because you go from place to place, different things happen in each place, but they were very much not interested. So Warner Brothers optioned it. Harold Ramis and Chevy Chase actually rewrote the script. It was originally the John Hughes story was originally from the son's point of view, and they changed it to be from Chevy Chase's point of view.
Okay. I mean, it would make sense from the son's point of view, giving who wrote it and the year given in the original story,
Mhm.
because otherwise that would make John Hughes much older than I expected.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the original short story, Wally World was actually Disneyland. They
Of
just
course.
felt like they probably couldn't get away with that, like, with using the name once they turned it into a movie.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see it being episodic if, back in 80 to 83 when they were developing this, if that was a bigger thing then, like if they had streaming services where they can do a mini series and they can focus more time on, Chicago and St. Louis and Texas and, every episode could be a stop, so to speak. And that would be cool. I just
Mhm.
can't see it working in 83, putting it on what, Fox, ABC, whatever. I don't know if that would work. I don't know if the comedy would be I don't know if the comedy would land as well, and also you wouldn't get that R rating, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, that's for sure.
You can't do the raunchiness.
And what would we have without that? That's the only way to have a hit movie.
Obviously, I don't even know how to answer that question.
So, I don't know if I realized Harold Ramis directed this. I also forget how far back he goes with Chevy Chase and the whole kinda group of comics that came up together doing things like National Lampoon and Second City, and then eventually went on to work on SNL when Saturday Night Live started. But I could tell from their backgrounds that at least Harold Ramis and Chevy Chase knew each other from working on the National Lampoon Radio Hour. Their paths obviously crossed there, even though I didn't find any specific information about how they both came to work on this. However, Chevy Chase had left SNL after his year and a half, right? His film career was not as successful as other comics who were kind of made famous through all these comedy troupes and SNL. He had Foul Play and Caddyshack under his belt that had been hits. The National Lampoon brand in films had also only had one major hit at this point, which was Animal House, which I did not realize. Animal House was followed by two movies called Class Reunion and Movie Madness, which did not do well. They're referred to as bombs. And it's funny because I was looking up a list of all the National Lampoon movies just for my research. And obviously, I recognized Animal House and a few other things, but there were so many movies that I had never heard of. And that's probably why. It
Yeah.
seems like they were just churning out tons of movies. I mean, and John Hughes even said, like, everyone from National Lampoon was getting a development deal or at least getting their screenplays looked at and optioned. So it makes sense that they were making all these movies under the National Lampoon brand based on what everyone has said in interviews. But I didn't realize that they only really had one hit at this point. And Animal House came out in 1978, and now we're in 1983, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kinda surprised they kept giving them chances in a sense.
Yeah. I didn't do it recently for this episode, but I have in the past looked up National Lampoon's movie list, and it is quite extensive, and I don't know most of them, like you said. And kind of thinking back on it, it's kind of funny. They went a lot longer than I thought they would have. I remember being, oh God, was it maybe early high school, and they had the National Lampoon's Van Wilder or something like that with Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
And it just seems like at that point, like, how could National Lampoon still be going on?
Yeah. Well, and for me, before I got more into movies and really understood how influential something like National Lampoon was, when I thought of the National Lampoon name, I literally just thought of the Chevy Chase vacation movies because they literally had National Lampoon in front of their title. Animal House might have, but I feel like you could refer to it as Animal House and people still knew what you were saying. I feel like if you just said vacation, people might not realize like, vacation alone sounds weirder than just referring to Animal House alone.
Yeah, I would agree. I never say when referencing National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation that. I just say, hey,
Right.
it's December or whatever. You want to watch Christmas Vacation this year? And we put it on.
I feel like that one stands alone more, and I understand what you're saying.
Well, A, I don't think there's any other movie that's similar in title.
Mhm.
B, to your point, just saying, hey, want to watch Vacation? It does sound kind of weird. I don't know why. It's
It
just like
does.
one note.
Yeah.
And just, C saying the whole thing is a mouthful, and everyone knows
Mhm.
what I'm talking about if I say Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. So, basically, we're at a point where not so sure if Harold Ramis needed a hit as badly as Chevy Chase. Harold Ramis was still writing some successful screenplays, mostly for, Bill Murray movies,
Right.
Caddyshack and Stripes and whatnot. But filming for Vacation started in July of, I guess, 1982. I don't have the year noted. It only lasted 55 days, but these are all their filming locations. They literally did a road trip. Boone, Colorado, Monument Valley, Utah, Flagstaff, Arizona, the Grand Canyon, St. Louis, Missouri, and various places in Southern California.
I mean, they wanted to be legit.
Just feel like that's such a way to balloon your budget. I'm just surprised they were allowed to. That's all.
Hmm. Yeah. I wonder how much they shot in all of them, like with the actual cast. Did they have stand-ins? Is it just B-roll? Because some of the scenes in St. Louis could be anywhere with the cast, but then we do see a car, their car, but a wide shot go across the bridge, and you see the arc. They could just be a stunt driver in the car with, a helicopter filming or whatever. See what I'm saying? Like maybe they did film there, but did they really film there?
I was surprised to hear they filmed all this on location as well because I felt like you said, when they're supposedly driving through this particular city or whatever, it could have very much been on a soundstage. It could have been anywhere. You could have had stock footage of the landmarks, really. And the Grand Canyon thing surprised me. I know there's obviously a lot of time where they're out in a desert that looks like it's near the Grand Canyon, but the one scene where it looks like they're looking at the actual Grand Canyon does not look real to me. Like, it definitely looks like a fake background, so I was like, "Did you? Really?"
Yeah. Hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah. I'm a little shocked.
Yeah, same. But on a different note, Harold Ramis approached Lindsey Buckingham of Fleetwood Mac fame, I guess, for anyone who doesn't know, to write some songs for the movie. Lindsey Buckingham apparently did not think he was the right person to be writing songs for movies, but because of that, he was like, "Well, the stakes are really low, and they're letting me kinda, like, do whatever I want, so I'll just go for it, and they'll probably just say no anyway, and it'll be fine. I can, like, have some fun experimenting, whatever." Joke was on him because Holiday Road in particular became a decent hit, but also just became a very enduring song in his catalog. I actually never knew that Holiday Road was written specifically for the vacation movie.
I don't think I officially knew, but it doesn't surprise me either. But it's one of those ones you hear when you're little, like maybe on the radio here and there in retail life. You know,
In retail life, yeah.
my soundtrack to life is just all these movies that apparently have these one hits made specifically for them. I don't know
Yeah.
how this is happening to me, but that's the facts. Is it a situation where he also hated it like the others?
We did not have that, although there was a funny bit in this interview. He did an interview with Stereo Gum in 2018. That's where I got this from. He also wrote a song for Back to the Future, and he liked that one a lot more than the songs. He wrote 2 songs for Vacation. He liked the song from Back to the Future so much more, but as of 2018, it was not available on streaming anywhere, and he also admitted he had never seen Back to the Future because it just wasn't his type of movie, is how
Jesus.
he put it. Right. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll check it out." And the interviewer's like, "It's a really good movie. It's like a classic movie at this point." He goes, "Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll give it a shot."
He's just really honestly probably just jaded that his movie or his song didn't make it in. It's like, "Oh, I'll
Back.
see. You will play that that one
Well,
guy
it's
has 2 songs in the movie? I can't even get 1?"
well, no, it made it in the movie, it's just not prominent. He said it's, like, kinda quiet in the background in one scene, and it is on the
Oh,
official soundtrack, but for some reason, that track isn't, at least as of 2018, it was not streaming. It might be streaming now.
interesting. See, I didn't even know that, and I watched the movie a bajillion times.
So it's funny you bring up Lindsey Buckingham, like, potentially being salty about this because in the interview, he said something like, "Yeah, they really liked that other guy's music. They highlighted his in the movie more than mine, like this other guy." And the interviewer's like, "Huey Lewis?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, that Huey Lewis guy." And I couldn't help feeling like this man even he either has no concept of popular culture despite being a part of it, or he is just acting like he's too cool for all of this.
Who knows? Maybe both somehow in a weird blend.
Mhm.
To be fair, it's not like when someone says Fleetwood Mac, this is not the person I picture in my head. So maybe he's a little jaded, out of touch. Who knows?
Yes. But back to Holiday Road, he said Harold Ramis was literally blown away at how effective it was and how some of the subject matter, without me even having seen the film, was addressed. And the interviewer said, "I was going to ask if you had watched the movie first." Lindsey Buckingham said, "It had dog barks in it. I didn't know there was going to be a scene in the movie where a dog gets dragged behind a car without them knowing it. Obviously, I knew it had to be somewhat uplifting and a little bit funny, which it is, but somehow we nailed it beyond his expectations, certainly." He was like, "Holy crap, a lot of that was just luck." Then, when I got asked to do the title song for Ghostbusters, I said, "Nah, I did this really well once. It's not something I want to get into as a repetitive part of my identity."
So many things to process.
I know.
I don't remember a dog barking in the song, but I don't really listen to that song besides the title sequence for this movie.
Okay, thank you. Because I was like, I missed the dog barks, I think. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I was confused about that too. Honestly, I just kept thinking about how hard the song really goes in the chorus with the It was like,
Yeah.
damn, they really were really into this. And then the fact that he was asked to do the Ghostbusters theme song, I cannot imagine.
No, that that would change a lot of things.
Yeah.
But then he was asked to do Back to the Future.
And he did do a song for Back to the Future. I think he said it I think the song was called Time Bomb Town, something like that.
Hmm. I have to
But
look into
he
this. Now I'm really curious now.
but yeah, in the interview, he was like, "That's a great song. That song's really great." And they were like, "So why have you never played it live?" And he's like, "I don't know." Seems like a very odd person to me, but,
Yeah.
what do I know?
Hmm. Just play Holiday Road and shut up.
Just want holiday just get really into those woes and
Bring the dogs on stage, I guess.
your backup singer dogs for their parks.
I want authenticity here, okay?
Yeah, seriously. Why would you have even thought to put dog barks in your song? Like, this doesn't really read serious musician to me, but
Well, he said it was supposed to be a funny song because it's a funny
sure.
movie. But without seeing the movie, did he see a script? Did he even know there was a dog? The dog doesn't really come into picture till like halfway through the movie and is not there very long. So yeah, why would you just hmm. I'm
I
trying to
don't know.
picture mentally in the studio like Holiday Road. I need more dog. I need dog. I need a dog right now.
I need
It's like
more
that Christopher Walken skit, only instead of I need more cowbell, I need more dog barks.
Yep. When we were in California, I had my son and I went to a playground. It was when my husband was working, and there was a day camp there, and to round up all the kids for the day camp, they hit a cowbell,
Hell yeah.
and that's all I could think of was that skit. Okay, so that's pretty much all the background I had. For all the shade we just threw at Holiday Road, I do like this opening.
Hey, I like the song. I never got that far into the credits before or
Mhm.
after the movie. I don't know if it plays both times where I heard a dog barking. So I have to go now see this. If it's on streaming somewhere, I can listen to it. And I'm going to be listening hard for this dog bark. I'm so curious. But yeah, the opening was really good. It was cute. It gives the vibes right away about a cross country road trip. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
It's done like showing postcards from different parts of the country. And then you just have actors' names and people behind the scenes pop up.
Yeah, I like having an opening that's so on theme like this. It was fun, and
Hmm.
definitely not something we've seen a lot lately in all the movies we
No,
talked about.
no.
Yes, and then my notes are, I don't think I realized Harold Ramis directed this. Our old friend John Hughes is back, and also Anthony Michael Hall.
The gang's back together.
Gang's back together. Did not realize Eugene Levy was in this as a car salesman.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't seen it before, there's going to be a lot of things you did not realize.
Well, sure.
And for me, I just didn't remember any of these things.
Fair.
I mean, I knew John Hughes and I knew Anthony Michael Hall. And I probably at one point knew Harold Ramis, but I probably forgot because that's not. I think of him. I don't think of this movie. This is
I think I
like a
just
Chevy Chase movie to me.
yeah, and I think I just associate him so much with Ghostbusters. I forget about other
Absolutely.
Harold Ramis movies, honestly. But Eugene
Yeah.
Levy, it was so funny to me watching this scene with him that first of all, like he's always really funny, always very happy to see him. It's so funny to me that he was in this and now in the year 2026, he's still so popular like for Schitt's Creek. Like he's probably more popular and well known now than ever
Oh yeah.
at like just his older age. That's all I'm saying. Especially compared to where like Chevy Chase is right now. Because I
They
watched that.
switched.
Yeah, they switched.
I should wait.
I I watched that recent documentary about him. It was very interesting. I recommend it. I feel like it's maybe streaming on HBO. I watched someone else's documentary where like Catherine O'Hara was the John Candy documentary. That's what that came out around the same time. Hold on. Chevy
Oh,
Chase
lucky for you, he's
documentary.
also in this movie.
Yep. Oh, it's literally called I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not, which I was gonna say, but then I'm like, am I confusing that because that was his line? But no, that's what the
No,
documentary is called. No.
that's what it is.
That's when he was. He thinks very highly of himself and all these people who worked on the National Lampoon movies. We'll just I don't know. Do you remember when I was like he called John Hughes a genius and then said something like, "There are so few of us in the world."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But anyway, Eugene
Yeah.
Levy.
He definitely is I don't say skeevy exactly, but he's playing up the used car salesman bit.
Mhm.
They get one over on Clark here. Yeah, he's Clark is trading in his car for something better for the road trip. He wants a new car. They're gonna go cross country, something better on gas. He even calls his old car the old gas guzzler. And they give him basically a bigger version of his because he had a station wagon before, and that gets traded in. And while they're arguing because this is not the car he ordered, they smash his other car. So that's it was kind of shady.
When they're smashing his car, that felt so vacation movie to me. Like, I could see
Yeah,
that being a scene in Christmas Vacation. It just felt like the type of joke that would be in this movie, the random destruction, like, when he's sledding on that thing in Christmas Vacation and burns a hole in it, like, when the tree goes up in flames, I was like, "This feels very appropriate."
yeah. He's kind of always a bumbling fool slash victim of circumstance.
Mhm. Yes, that's a good way to put it. So this car for the movie, it's called the Wagon Queen Family Truckster. It was created specifically for the movie, but it's based on a 1979 Ford LTD Country Squire station wagon, which they obviously, took liberties with
Right.
and added that green paneling. The wood kind of paneling with a color like that is so 70s to me.
Hmm.
Maybe I have my own view of what family vehicles looked like at that time. Yes, I thought this was ugly, but I also didn't necessarily think it was any uglier than other station wagons. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. The green definitely makes it stand out, though, for better for
Mhm.
worse.
I did like Clark's line here where he says, "I'm not your ordinary everyday fool."
Yes. Well, because he knows he's at a used car place or whatever the case may be, and this guy's trying to sell him something differently. And he's like,
Mhm.
nope, nope, nope. But they one up him by just destroying the car he just traded in. So now he has to get this car because the whole scam is, oh yeah, it didn't come in. Well, you can have this one, and we'll get to the bottom of it. And he's like, come on, Russ, we're not no fool. But then when he gets back
Mhm.
to the house, Ellen's like, this isn't the car you got. Oh, this is a better car. Like he doesn't want to admit that he
Yeah.
got taken advantage of. I don't know why, because he's like, yeah, this is what we're stuck with. I mean, she can be mad at him, but what else are they gonna do?
Well, I think as we see in this movie, Clark Griswold has a certain amount of pride.
Yeah, that's true.
I did think it was funny. So the airbag goes off when he brings it home, and it
Yeah,
looks very flimsy and not like a good airbag. When I was reading all the specs of what they did to this car, they added a trash can liner as the airbag, and I was like, "Okay, that's why."
it's very obviously a trash can
Yeah.
bag. It also
Um,
doesn't seem to come from the steering wheel because it's clearly
no.
rigged for the movie.
Yes.
There's like two, maybe three times it goes off, but every time it looks like it's coming from a lower and lower spot in the car. The first time it's well hidden because of the angle, but there's a time later where it goes off. It just looks like it comes from his lap into his
Yeah.
face. And also looks very flimsy. If that went off, like for real in an accident, he would not be stopped.
Yeah, yeah. It's messing with me too when he drives up to the house, how different the house is from Christmas Vacation, and I know we're not supposed to get into the details of, like, that or even the kids. There is no continuity in these movies. It's whatever. But he the house is totally different. They barely even have a front yard, and they have one of those, like, turnaround kinda driveways, like the half circle, and I can understand for sure why they would want a different type of house for something like Christmas Vacation, because how else would you show off all the lights and everything in that
Right.
movie? But it just really, really threw me off having seen Christmas Vacation first. I guess it might have been odd to me either way, like, regardless of which one I had seen first, but it was hard for me to get used to the different kids. Like, it did really feel sometimes like I was watching a totally different family.
Yeah. So the house, sure. You've never seen it before, so I get it. We're barely there. We barely see it. The rest of the movie's on the road.
Right, and that's part of it too. It's like it's not that the house is not that important anyway.
But here's my personal theory I just came up with. This is, don't forget, this is first. There's two more movies before Christmas Vacation. They upscaled. They moved from National Lampoon house to the John Hughes Chicago suburbs universe. Because he's got a good job. They go on a
Mhm.
cross country vacation. They go European vacation. He has his whole family over. He buys a swimming pool with a bonus. Clark Griswold's doing well, so they just upgraded to this suburban house for Christmas
That's true.
vacation. Boom. Kids, I have an answer for that too. That's later down the road. It is funny though, because as much as I watch Christmas Vacation and I know the actors who play those kids, when always hear a vacation title, I do think of Anthony Michael Hall. I don't know why. Like, it takes me a minute, like, Christmas
Hmm,
Vacation? Oh, yeah, he's little in that movie, not tall and lanky.
yeah.
Like, in my
Um,
head, I wanna put Anthony Michael Hall and, who plays Aubrey in Christmas Vacation? Why am I
oh,
blanking on her
Juliette
name?
Lewis.
Yeah, I wanna put them together as the 2
Yeah,
kids. I think that'd be kinda fun.
that would be fun, actually. You pointed out that the brief bit we are in their house that, Ellen is handing Clark dishes to dry or to wash rather, and all he's doing is drying them with the dirty food still on them and putting them in the
Yeah,
cabinet.
yeah, she's scraping off the plate into a bowl. I don't That's weird, but she's like they're clearing the table, and at first I didn't notice. I don't know how many times I've watched this and I didn't notice because it just seems like you see other movies where one of the 2 would be washing the dishes and handing it to the other one. They dry it, put it away. I mean, I just put it in the drying rack, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, and during this scene, during this watch, I didn't notice it right away. I was watching the action and listening to the dialogue, and Clark is kind of in the center of the screen, and he's doing all the movement. Then I realized he's facing camera. His back is facing sink. I was like, wait a minute, where are these dishes coming from? Oh my God, he's just putting away 30 dishes. And obviously, it's not the intent. It's to show how like clueless Clark is to what's going
Mhm.
around because he's talking the whole time to Ellen. So he's just in his own world.
Yeah.
But it took me about a third of the scene going through before I realized what was going on.
Yeah, it probably would have taken me a bit longer to notice if I hadn't seen your note, but this I cringed, like, so hard. I can't handle it. I can't even handle it when, like, things still have water in them from the dishwasher. Like, I have to dry them completely before I put them away. Like, no,
Yeah. And my bad. If I would have remembered you haven't seen this, I would have either took my notes separately or waited to you for you to watch so I didn't ruin anything. But
it's okay. And then he goes in the living room and has a computer simulation of their road trip that he's showing to the kids somehow.
yeah, I thought that was kind of cool in 1983. I
Mhm.
don't think that was possible for him to just do that,
Yeah.
mostly because he makes them stop playing video games and then he shows them on the same system, computer,
Right, it's
TV. I
sort
don't
of still
fully
a
know.
video game because it's like Rusty is making Pac-Man follow them or something
Yeah, so
on the
it's a little
screen.
yeah, it's a little station wagon showing the kids where they're going to go and the stops to make. And it's like as they go, there's a little dotted line behind them. All of a sudden, Russ is chasing them with Pac-Man, and then Aubrey's trying to help her dad by using a Space Invader spaceship to shoot at Pac-Man. So it seems kind of funny. It just logically none of it makes sense, but it's just kind of showing the kids fucking with their dad.
Yeah. And then we cut to this scene where they're leaving, their car is packed up. A bunch of their neighbors are there to say goodbye to them, and yeah, I'm not saying that is a thing that normally happens, but it was funny to me how different it was going on a trip at this point in time. You probably would not be in touch with your neighbors. There was a reason that postcards existed. And it was just so funny to me because the whole time I was gone on my trip, I was still texting my neighbors, like, how's summer break going for everyone? Like, this is a funny thing my kid did on vacation, whatever. We're never really out of communication. if we don't wanna be. And,
Right.
yeah, I asked one of my neighbors to take our trash cans out while we were gone, but, I mean, definitely we did not have a little going away party in our driveway.
No, that's something that kind of has gone to the wayside, how tight neighborhoods used to be. I feel like your area is a little different. You guys do seem to all kind of connect. I talked to my one neighbor, I used to talk to a different one. Not that I don't like my neighbors, just schedule
Mhm.
or I'm not like, gonna go over and knock on the door like, hey, you want to talk for 5 minutes? It's usually when we just catch each other in the driveway.
To be fair, all of my neighbors I become friends with are because we all have kids around the same age.
Yeah,
I do genuinely like them as people, like, not just people I talk to because my kid likes their kids.
I
But,
get it.
yeah, but it's just funny to me, like, the lack of communication that would have occurred in the '80s, like, anything could be happening to either party and you wouldn't know, like, it just I don't know. It
Yeah,
feels so old-fashioned now.
them's the times.
One of the neighbors says, "Watch out for the Indians, Clark," and I
Yes,
don't
yeah, that was
understand. Yeah,
yeah, that
is he
was
just trying to
weird.
be funny?
I feel like he's trying to be fun because 'cause they're going through the desert,
Like, th
so
well, I guess I thought more because 'cause they're going through, like, the plains, but maybe
no,
either way, I don't know.
same difference, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I kept rewatching the scene because for some reason, the neighbor guy, I thought was Cousin Eddie. I thought Eddie was there to see him off. He's wearing clothes that are gaudy that Eddie would wear. He kind of is this, like, gangly, lanky,
Mhm.
somewhat potbelly guy with a comb over, and I swear he sounded like Randy Quaid. I was just so convinced this was Cousin Eddie for a second. I'm like, "No, this is not." I think it was him that said the line, "Watch out for the Indians, Clark." I'm like, "That's something he would say."
That is something he would say, I understand that.
It, like, threw me off. I watched it, like, 3 times. I'm like, I'm convinced it's Eddie, and I had to unconvince myself because I knew it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know, I didn't think it was him necessarily, I just knew he was in this movie, and I was wondering when he showed up, but again, the logistics of the family are all different in this movie, I didn't realize Eddie and his family lived in, like, Kansas,
Right.
so whatever,
Mm,
it's fine, we get there. Also, did they literally put all of their luggage on top of the car? Like, they don't use a trunk or anything? Because
they did. They put it on the top of the car.
okay.
They do have a station wagon. They should have room in that hatch area, but it is on top of the car. And of course, they do it before they leave the garage. So there's a good National Lampoon joke, and they go through the garage and knock all the luggage off. Weep womp.
Mhm. Yep. I will say I've driven across the country a couple times, California to Cleveland and California to Alabama where my in-laws live. Because when we lived out in California, for some reason, it made more sense to do that and take our dog back for the holidays than fly. Also, like, we didn't have a lot of money and plane tickets were expensive.
Fair.
But we definitely were not in a situation where we had to put anything on top of our car.
I think it's just the look for the film. It
I
just
know.
screams old school, and I just don't get why they don't put it. They have a station wagon. What's in the back?
Well, yeah, that's what I kept thinking,
Yeah.
but
Like, if they had a
yeah,
regular
you're right, it's
car, a little small sedan, there's only so much trunk space. There's 4 of them. They're going for a while. Sure, tied up to the top of the car. But what's in the back? What's all that
I
room
know.
for?
But I think you're right, it's definitely for the optics because we get so many instances of them having to stop short and luggage falling, so
But yeah, I forgot all the jokes that happen with the roof of the car and the luggage and other passengers, we can say.
yeah. Oh god, yeah, we'll get there.
Um, so after they leave, they just cut to them on the road, and Ellen and Clark are singing to the kids, to each other, just in general, passing the time. And they're singing Mockingbird, which I forgot they do, because I only think of one movie when I hear that song, and it is Dumb and Dumber. And they do a much worse, but somehow better version of the song in Dumb and Dumber.
Much worse, but somehow better.
Yeah,
Yeah, so again, this red is very Griswold family to me, like, especially because of the opening of Christmas Vacation when they are
exactly.
driving to cut down the tree. It's funny that Clark is, like, very I always see him as being very prideful, wanting things to go a certain way, not wanting to admit when he makes mistakes, but he's also just so freaking corny and goofy sometimes too, but it
Hmm.
all works.
It does
And
work.
maybe that's, like, thanks to Chevy Chase, I'm not really sure, but it he could be a total cornball, but then be the guy who's, like, threatening to shove his chainsaw up the neighbor's ass in the other movie, you know? So it's like, I don't know, we could tame multitudes. But yeah, this still red is very Griswold to me. It was funny at first doing the one song, and then it kept happening, and I was like, "Is their radio broken? Like, why do they have to actively entertain themselves?"
Yeah, I wrote that down too. Why don't they play the radio?
This is when we get to St. Louis, I think, and okay, I still don't understand why this comes about because they're like, "You're taking the wrong exit." Why do they even have to exit? Why are they leaving the freeway? I thought they were supposed to stay overnight in St. Louis, but obviously they're not.
I don't have an answer to why they're exiting, but
Mhm,
the answer to the wrong exit because they're not paying attention, obviously, because Clark never does, and they're singing
mhm.
the song. Do we? This is the first time we see. No, it's not yet. We don't see the woman in the Corvette yet, do we?
I don't think yet.
I don't think so. I think maybe they're just singing because that's when she puts the headphones on. You hear the Ramones, and they go off the
Mhm.
wrong exit because
Yes.
goes from inside the car to outside the car.
Mhm.
I just think they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why they're exiting now. Maybe they have to switch freeways.
Maybe that's it, but I was thinking they were trying to find their motel for the night, but that's obviously, like, not the case. But either way, they end up driving through this really bad neighborhood, and Clark says, "We can't close our eyes to the plight of the cities."
It's like, kids, notice all the plight, and you hear a gunshot. Roll them up. You roll up the windows.
Yes.
uh,
So I found a quote from Harold Ramis where he really felt bad later about characterizing St. Louis in this way, particularly, well, I guess they're in East St. Louis, Illinois, which is a suburb that's like on the other side of the river, obviously on the other side of the state line. Harold Ramis had actually gone to college in St. Louis and stayed there for a few years working. So he has like a soft spot for the city. He is actually part of the St. Louis Walk of Fame
oh, wow.
because they consider him as having started his career there. But yeah, he felt that because of how they characterized East St. Louis in the movie, the area kind of got this reputation that it didn't necessarily deserve. And not that this helps, he admitted, but the scene is actually supposed to take place in St. Louis proper. But because oh, I guess, like, because they crossed this particular bridge, they should have been in St. Louis proper, in the city, but in the shot, there's a sign that says East St. Louis, so it
Hmm.
was misattributed, but either way, I don't know if it really
I don't know if it matters.
matters, but
Yeah.
yeah. But either way, poor St. Louis, I don't know.
When they when they stop for directions, they get kind of surrounded by people in the neighborhood, and I'm just gonna put this out there, they in the car are the only white people in the scene,
Mhm.
and they're getting they have to pay for directions, their hubcaps are being stolen, all this, like, funny sight gags are happening around him while Clark is kind of aggravated. This whole movie, he keeps, like, shelling out a bunch of money to people who's taking advantage of him, that's kind of the whole point. But the funny part is, it's a cut to the kids in the back seat. Rusty's like, "I wonder if they know the Commodores." I
That's
was like,
so
I don't
funny.
think I ever noticed that before, and it's kind of innocent, but also kind of, like, underhanded, but it made me laugh still. It's like,
Yeah.
"No, Rusty, not every black person is a Commodore."
Yeah, no, so not every black person knows each other. This takes us to the scene where they're all falling asleep in the car, and before they all totally conk out, including Clark, who is supposed to be driving, Ellen says, "You get weird when you get tired." And I just thought this was so funny, I think because he's weird all the time, and also
Mhm.
you get weird when you get tired. It's such a general thing, like, I don't know. You get tired when you get tired and shouldn't drive a car. Like,
You get sleepy when you get tired.
yep. Again, like the car going out of control, driving everywhere, somehow seemingly ending up okay. Very National Lampoon, very John Hughes, very much a Griswold problem to have, I feel. But I did laugh when the car just like kind of slides right into a parking spot at the motel. And
Yeah,
he's
we're
like,
here.
only the best hotel. Yeah. Yeah. And this is when we get to our first of a few topless scenes with Beverly D'Angelo, which I was not
Yeah,
expecting.
neither was I. They do this, like, psycho bit in the shower of the motel,
Hmm.
and he has, like, a banana or something instead of a knife. Obviously, he's not gonna kill his wife, but
But also, why a banana?
yeah, I don't know. Why yeah,
It's there.
why bananas is there? So he does that, and he pulls back the thing, and for a quick second, you see topless Beverly D'Angelo, and I was like, "Whoa, did not remember that." I'm like, "Well, if I did watch it on TV and TV only, that would be why." Because I do remember him falling asleep and them arriving the way they do at the hotel, and I
Hmm.
remember the bit after when they're on the bed and they have, like, one of those vibration beds, and they put a couple quarters in, only, like, it goes out of control in a very
Hmm.
Griswold way, and they have to sleep on the floor. So I remember that. Part in between, which literally is it's all part of the same sequence of events. Don't remember. Wonder why.
Yeah. Like I said, I saw the R rating, but having seen Christmas Vacation, I guess I just assumed it would be a similar level of like inappropriateness, so to speak. So I was
Yeah,
just not really expecting that. Yep.
that's all
That's,
I got, yeah.
yeah, just surprised. And then later, when they're back in the car, I can't remember what Audrey and Rusty are fighting about, but she uses the R slur at Rusty. And I was like, oh, just in case you needed a reminder, this is an 80s movie.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
heard that, but it kind of went in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess thanks to 80s John Hughes movies, it's almost like I have a desensitivity to certain words built up and I don't love it. So this is when we get to Cousin Eddie's house. I remember us debating how they were actually related to them when we were talking about Christmas Vacation.
I remember that
So
too, yeah.
at least here it seems like Eddie's wife is Ellen's cousin.
That's what I get, yeah.
Okay. And I can't remember her name, unfortunately.
And
Yep.
I was going to look this up, and then I kind of forgot. Obviously,
Oh,
Randy Quaid is Cousin Eddie. I believe this is
yep.
the same actress, though, yeah? In Christmas
I didn't
Vacation?
think it I didn't think it was.
Oh,
Alright, let me
shit, I
look.
gotta look
There's
it
one
up.
way to find out.
She
Also,
looks
she
the same.
she didn't look the same to me.
Oh, well, okay. Well, hold on. One of us is really right, one of us is really wrong. Dun, dun, dun.
She's the same actress, you're right.
Boom.
She just had different hair, I guess.
Yeah, you can have different hair, okay? It was like
Okay.
6 years apart.
Miriam Flynn from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, see?
I stand corrected.
You can change the kids, but you can't change the
Aunt
cousins.
Kathy or whatever her name is.
Cousin Kathy?
Cousin Kathy, yeah. It's weird. Anyway, the cousins also have a completely different number of kids, different names, everything.
Yeah, that I noticed right away, and I kind of already knew that the Griswold kids changed, so to me, these kids don't matter. Sorry, kids. But also, again, I try to put myself in the mindset where the movie, takes place years later. Maybe these 2 older kids grew up, they don't go on the because, Cousin Eddie, they visit them in Chicago. Maybe they left
Mhm.
some of the kids behind. They also have a lot of kids. It's that kind of, situation, I guess. They just keep popping out kids.
Yeah.
I noticed but didn't, like, think too hard about that one.
Well, except that we recognize one of the kids.
Like, as in the actress or just
Yes. No, you made a note that cousin Vicky, one of their daughters, is Jane Krakowski.
Yep. she very much looks like Jane. Like,
Oh,
she
absolutely.
cannot hide that. No matter how
Like,
old she is in this movie, I'm like, "That is totally Jane."
yeah, but such a baby in this movie, it's insane.
Oh, yeah.
Also kind of a mean girl. But I think all the cousins are kinda weird in their own way.
Yeah, they're goofy. She so the 2 girl cousins pair up and the boy cousins pair up, and they're, like, going
Mhm.
through their lifestyle while they're there. I think they live on a farm-ish,
Yeah.
and cousin Vicky shows her 1st or 2nd place ribbon to Audrey with, like, having a pig, something about it, like, growing a pig, having a pig. It was real quick, and she's like, "Well, being on a farm is not cool, Vicky." And she's like, "Is this not cool?" He has this enormous amount of marijuana. It's like, "Oh, that is kinda cool." So,
Ugh.
yeah, that's very, very weird.
Yes.
And she gives him a bunch of joints to for the rest of the road.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's a line that Eddie says to Clark that the bank's been on me like flies on a rib roast in referring to their mortgage. And I feel like if you wanted to, you could almost consider that foreshadowing for them and their like arriving in their mobile home years later at
mm,
Christmas.
yeah.
And then I wrote, "Oh my god, Vicky stirs the Kool-Aid with her entire hand."
Hand, she's up to her elbow in that picture.
Yeah, she has no utensil, she's just using her whole freaking arm to stir the Kool-Aid. It's where we're introduced to Aunt Edna, where it seems like Eddie and his wife are extremely excited to dump Aunt Edna onto Clark and Ellen. Unbeknownst to Clark and Ellen, they're going to be driving Aunt Edna back home to Phoenix.
Mhm.
She had come to visit Eddie and his wife when they had their last baby and never went home, I guess. Despite her coming out using a walker, she looks pretty spry.
Yeah, after the walker, she does seem pretty spry. Mm,
Well, even
until
like
she
she's
isn't.
using the walker pretty quickly and
Yeah.
like, very much not convincing that she needs one. And then after that, we never see the walker again. She looks like she's in fairly decent shape.
I feel like it's important to note that she might have stayed there longer because they needed her to stay. They are kind of living off her Social Security.
That's right.
And then I don't know why they're getting rid of her. I don't think she's going home because they're supposed to be taking her to cousin Norman's.
Oh, maybe she was going back to visit her other
Maybe she
kid or
just
something.
bounces around different kids' house for a while. But even when she's leaving, Eddie's like, "Don't forget to send those checks."
Yeah.
Fucking mooch.
Yep. I did really laugh at their reaction about having to drive her to Phoenix. Like, there's this whole thing where they're getting ready to eat their dinner, and I think Eddie's supposed to be grilling maybe burgers, and Ellen has found out how tough of a situation they're in financially, so she's trying to convince Clark that he doesn't need to eat an actual burger, like, just eat a bun with ketchup, and then in the shot where they find out they have to drive Aunt Edna to Phoenix, he, suddenly has a legit burger, and he's so shocked that, like, everything falls out.
Mhm.
It was just a good reaction.
Yeah. And on top of that, when they're done eating their ketchup buns, they go into the living room, and I guess Eddie wants to ask Clark for some money, and Edna's like, "Well, just ask him already. He just clearly doesn't take a hint," which I think Clark can't take the hint. He's just ignoring all the hints that Eddie wants money from this family. And he's
Right.
like, "All right, how much do you want?" He pulls out a wallet and some cash, and he mentions a number in the thousands. Clark just casually puts his money away back into his pocket. In this scene, Eddie mentions that ever since he got his metal plate in his head in the army, things have not been good for them financially. He can't, keep a steady job, etc. In my head, I've created a new universe where Eddie is also Russell from Independence Day.
I could go with that. It is
Nice.
funny, though, that this is our 2nd Randy Quaid movie of the season. The 3rd Randy Quaid movie in our entire podcast,
Hmm. Third overall, I think.
pretty sure.
Yeah. So, but hear me out. I'm glad you're already on board, but keep in mind real timeline. This is 83. Independence Day is 96. Eddie gets disbanded from the army. He's got a plate in his head, can't keep a job. As you pointed out, in this movie, he has a bunch of children that do not match the children in the next movie. They live in a mobile home. He does all the vacation movies. He's with that family. There's no mom in Independence Day. Maybe cousin Catherine died. He has a new family in a new mobile home with new children. He still has a plate in his head from the war. No one believes him. They call him Russell. Why do they call him Russell? I don't know. Maybe cousin Eddie's middle name is Russell. Maybe Ellen, for some reason, felt bad for the guy, named their son after her cousin's husband. And that's why his name is Russ sometimes, but Clark mostly calls him Rusty as a nickname because he doesn't clearly like cousin Eddie, aka Russell.
Huh. I'll be honest with you, I could have just gone with, like, time has passed, his kids are different because 'cause they're different in every damn movie anyway.
Hmm.
Maybe his wife left, maybe she died, I don't know. I'm just saying you could have made this so much easier on yourself and just been like, "The kids are different because it's a new movie, obviously."
Now I got to make it more convincing, though.
That's fine. I applaud how hard you thought about this.
Although, shit, does Vegas Vacation come out after Independence Day? Because I was going to say, is he in another movie after that?
I don't know. Is
Time
he
of.
in Vegas Vacation?
He is 97. Damn.
Mm.
Hmm. Almost had it.
Sorry, we'll just forget about that one. It's fine.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't think Vegas Vacation dates exactly like we're in 1997. Maybe it happened right before. Vegas is in the desert. That's where he lives in Independence Day. He goes up to the spaceship, dies. We don't see Cousin Eddie ever again.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. All right, moving
I'll live
on.
in this universe. That's fine.
All right, cool.
The Randy Quaid cinematic universe.
Oh, no.
Okay, so not only are the Griswolds taking Aunt Edna with them, she has a dog who
Of course she
I
does.
don't know if I ever learned its name. A very nasty dog, apparently. And Rusty says the dog bites, and Clark says we'll bite him back.
Yeah. At this point, Clark's just over it.
Yeah, he's very done. They get to a camp where this is where they're going to stay for one night instead of a motel.
Hmm.
Clark is complaining that it's $37 for 3 tents, and that's so much money. And I was like, that actually sounds it's extremely cheap, at least in 2026 money. But, what do I know?
Well, 2026 money, but I also feel like in 1983 money, that wouldn't be too horrible. You're putting up a family of five and a dog for $40. Not bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out that the camp worker guy, I don't know what his role is played by Brian Doyle Murray. He's like the clerk at the camp or whatever. He's the one that they're interacting with, only 2 seconds of a scene, but he is also the boss they kidnap in Christmas Vacation. He is
Huh.
Noah from Wayne's World, and he's also in Groundhog Day. He's one of the guys in the tuxedos and top hat. But we've seen him in these smaller bit roles before in our course of the pod.
So I remember you making this connection in Christmas Vacation now that you mentioned him being in Groundhog's Day. But yeah, I would have never gotten this. You really are good at this game because,
He does look a little obviously younger and skinnier, and he doesn't have his little mustache he has in some other movies. It's the
fair.
voice that caught my attention at first, and then I kind of paused it on him. I was like, it looks familiar. And post watch IMDb helped to confirm what I thought.
Yeah, I would have never gotten this. But this is also where I noted that suddenly Aunt Edna doesn't need a walker anymore
Right.
somehow. That's what threw me off because they went to so much trouble to really play her up like a frail old woman with coming out like looking really unkempt. Like she had curlers in her hair when we first saw her using the walker. And then she just seems fairly self-sufficient the rest of the movie that she's in. Like she's old, obviously, but like not like ancient, not like doubled over.
Yeah, I think the choices here is at first we get Clark's reaction. Well, actually, Ellen's reaction when she hears the news. It's like, oh my god, Clark's gonna flip out, and we see Clark's
Mhm.
reaction, and it's this like little frail, cutesy old woman. It's like, oh, how could you? Where Clark
Mhm.
is exaggerating, like Aunt Edna can't be that bad. And as we go on, we are swayed to feel more like Clark, where Aunt Edna's really a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And I forgot about the walker completely because she stopped using it. I didn't even remember she had it until you brought it back up. But it just, if I would remember the time, I would probably think she's playing it up to get more sympathy, even though we know our director and writer are doing that as well. But the more and more she becomes self sufficient, the more demanding she is as well. Like she seems to need more help when she physically looks like she needs less.
Yeah, that's a really good point because she still is characterized as like a really mean, obnoxious character, regardless of how how well she can walk on her own.
Yeah. And the more demanding she is, as we notice, the more capable she is, it becomes more annoying. Like you can get it your damn self. You're not helpless.
That is fair, yeah. So it's when they're leaving the campsite and getting back on the road, that's when they realize they accidentally tied the dog to the back of the car, or they tied his leash to the back of the car and, like, basically killed the dog because they drove off with it running or dragging behind the car.
Yeah. Which we
Yeah.
don't see any of this for the,
We don't s so
anyone
here's
who's concerned.
Yeah, we don't see any of this, we just see them getting pulled over, and the trooper that pulls them over shows Clark the leash attached to the back of the car, and he's like, "Could you imagine? He must have kept up with you for a little bit, and then he just got dragged." And I I realize this is supposed to be gross and, like, an off-color joke and whatever. This did not land for me at all, and I also felt like I kept waiting for it to somehow not be true, and I don't
Yeah.
know why I thought that. I don't know if it was the way these 2 were delivering their lines. I just expected the dog to, like, pop up somewhere.
I
Like,
was
I
too.
didn't realize it was actually going to be like, "Oh, he dragged this dog to death."
Yeah. For as shitty as the dog seems to be, I didn't need this in my life.
Yeah, well, they keep talking about it as, "Can you imagine? He must have been like this," and Clark
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, I didn't realize I'd even done this." And so I kept thinking it was gonna come up that, like, somehow they were gonna, like, magically find this dog, I don't know. And, we saw in Christmas Vacation too, like, yes, there is some stuff with, like, the one old aunt's cat. I don't know, they never went this gross in the other movies, so I just wasn't expecting it. I was expecting it to somehow turn out not to be true the way they were discussing it as a hypothetical, but then at the end of their discussion, the trooper's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go scrape his carcass up off the road," and it's like, "Oh god,"
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and I didn't know if it wasn't until he said that I was like, "Oh, this really happened." I just thought we were setting up a joke that it wasn't gonna be real, and I don't know why I got that impression.
I don't know if I got the impression I was just being very hopeful. Like, oh, that can't be
Maybe.
true. Maybe they just left him somewhere. Uh, but yeah, towards the end, right before the trooper gives that line, I feel like the joke has already gone past its prime. Apparently,
Mhm.
you can see the carcass from the car because the trooper says something and Chevy like looks down the road and he makes a face like, "Oh God, oh my God!" Like you don't think I'd actually do that? So that's, I mean, we don't see any of it. Thank God. I don't need to see that.
Yeah, no.
The the joke lasts past this scene because there's a couple times where Aunt Edna and even Ellen calls him a dog killer, and you're like,
Mhm.
"Oof, ouch!" Like that kind of hurts because he didn't mean to do that. I did laugh when the trooper first pulls him over because, as I mentioned, cousin Vicky gives some pre rolls to Audrey. Yes, a bunch of joints. And when the trooper pulls him over, he's like, "Aunt Edna, hold my purse." Just
Yeah,
throws it in Aunt Edna's lap. I
yeah,
laughed pretty hard at that.
that was funny. So, according to Harold Ramis, he was on Late Night with David Letterman in 1983. This whole joke with the dog came about because they were all staying at a hotel in Durango, Colorado, like the whole crew for the movie. and they actually saw a car start to drive off with a dog attached to it, and they were able to, like, run over and
Jeez.
stop the driver. So, like, I don't know if that's almost worse that it was, like, kind of a real life situation. I also don't like, who are all these people that are tying their dogs to the back of their cars? Like, this has never once been something I thought of doing, and I've taken at least with our first dog, we took lots of road trips with him because he was really good in the car, so
Yeah.
never once did I think about doing this.
No.
Like,
Well, at
so
one point in the park, he's tied to the tree and is like tormenting Russell.
yeah.
So it's like, why all of a sudden he's on the car? I couldn't tell you.
Where are they even attaching him to?
It's the back bumper.
Oh, oh, whatever. All right, so yeah, I realized this was not supposed to be like a fun joke, but it just really didn't like land for me in any way.
No,
I disliked all of this.
agreed.
Okay, so after this, is this when Ellen realizes she's lost her credit cards? Because we see one of the bags in particular fall off, and she's like, I need to find my vanity case. My credit cards are in there, which I was like, why?
Yeah, why are you
First of
putting your
all, I also think this is just like a kind of a weird, like an old school kinda thing where they have all these, like, different forms of payment that they don't necessarily keep close to them in a way that, like, I would. Like, all
right?
my credit cards are in my purse. Also, I mean, I don't have, like, multiple like, I don't have,
Yeah,
like, all these credit cards, so to speak, but then, they bring up, like, checks and traveler's checks and all these things, and this is something that always sticks out to me in planes, trains, and automobiles too, where it almost seems like credit cards aren't that they are a newer enough thing that you need some sort of you need the right type of credit card, you need proof that you can, like, pay off your credit card or something, like, it's always more of a thing, and now I go to places where they're like, "If you don't have a credit card, you cannot pay us because we don't even
right.
accept cash." So
Yeah.
but yeah, this made me think of, like, when people used to carry their Social Security cards around with them. Like, I don't
Oh
know,
wow.
why is
Yeah.
your credit card in your vanity like, I don't
Yeah. I don't
know.
know why I wouldn't be on her in person or in the glove box. Either way, you would hope you don't lose your luggage.
Mhm.
Hope. I still wouldn't put all of my income in a suitcase tied to the roof of a car.
Right. It's either after this or after the situation with the dog, Clark says to Ellen, "Despite all the problems, it really is fun, isn't it?" And she just says, "No." And the way she said no killed me.
Yeah, that was pretty
Like,
good.
it was just great delivery. She is so over it. She hates her life. I get it. And then they're on their way to the Grand Canyon. Clark drives down a closed road and they end up in a huge accident because he doesn't realize it until like the road disappears. This is when he has this heart to heart with Rusty. And to be fair, I don't even really remember what they're talking about. I feel like he's giving very generic, like dad advice, but he says something about, you know, I love you and Audrey or you and your sister, whatever, but he forgets Audrey's name when he
Yeah.
says it. And that was really funny. This is also the type of scene that they did not have in Christmas Vacation. Clark having, an emotional conversation with his son. They offered to write one in because they realized they had not included it and it had been in the previous movies. And they were like, I don't know, ask Johnny Galecki what he thinks. And, this was Johnny Galecki's first movie role. He was playing Rusty in that movie. And he was like, well, I don't know. Like, the script's done. Why are you going to add this in? And then later he was kicking himself because he's like, as an adult looking back, he's like, I could have had this really great scene with Chevy Chase, who is like this big time actor and really like, gotten myself some more screen time, some more dialogue. And it's still so bizarre to me that they left this decision up to this like kid who had never been in a movie before.
Right.
And he was like, I don't want to say, yeah, you should change your script to like these professional adults.
Exactly.
Um, yeah. But Also, apparently Anthony Michael Hall is 14 when they made this, and maybe I'm just old enough now where everyone looks very young to me, but I wasn't reading him as 14 at all. Maybe I don't
Hmm.
know what a 14-year-old looks like.
Yeah, I thought he was. That sounds right to me. I didn't. I guess while watching it, I didn't really give him an age. He was just a kid, but he's tall, so that makes sense.
Yeah. This is Clark, like, decides to, go off into the desert in search of help because their car is trashed, like, there's nothing they can do about anything. The way he runs off determinedly singing "To Grandmother's House We Go," like, he's such an idiot. Like,
He's trying to keep up high spirits.
I know, he really is, but also, like, this is a continuation of them singing, like, these dorky old songs, like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call them, like, standards or, like, because they were singing, like, "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot" at some point in the car, like, these songs that are so old, like, you don't even know if there's an original singer attached to them or whatever. They're just, like, really
Right.
old. Yeah, but this, like, bounding through the
Oh
desert
yeah.
singing "To Grandmother's House We Go." Again,
He
all of this
wandered.
movie would be different with cell phones
Oh, of course, yeah.
and GPS.
And yes, and GPS.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%. Or just, if they got on a plane like Ellen asked them to.
That too.
They had planes back then. That would have worked.
Yeah, it would've.
So he's wandering through the desert, and obviously, his chippiness kind of wanes, and he's just like mumbling to himself and out loud and blah 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 blah. But at one point, I heard the line, "This is no way to run a desert." I think he's complaining there was no gas stations nearby or something like that. But I'm like,
Yeah.
it's funny because that's what a desert is.
Yep. Yeah, because
And
he
then,
does say something about, like, for all the rest of the trip, there was a gas station at every few miles or whatever, yeah.
yep, yeah, when you were on the road, sir.
Well, yeah, and also, I think if you've never been out west, which I'm just assuming they haven't been maybe, it's insane how big the western states are compared to, like, the Illinois area
Like,
and how
yeah,
spread out everything is, including gas stations. Even if you're not in, the unpopulated desert.
it's ironic that the neighbor who resembles Cousin Eddie at the beginning said, "Watch out for the Indians, Clark," because we see a group of Native Americans on horseback watching Clark bumble in the distance. They end
Yes.
up getting help for the family.
Yeah. Yep.
So I guess foreshadowing, but in an ironic way.
Yes. I thought it was so funny when Ellen and Clark reunite at the gas station that he eventually finds, or the tow truck station, whatever it is, because he doesn't know they've been rescued. You hear this brief bit of Ellen on the phone when they want a description of Clark, and she says something like,
Yeah.
"He's a wonderful father and the greatest food additive employee like who's
Yes.
ever lived." It's like, that's
It's
not.
just I'm like, I don't know his height and weight. She's a very doesn't she can't describe her husband at all. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay, so I watch a lot of true crime. And there was, I don't remember if it was like a podcast or an episode of Dateline or something where this husband was being looked at as maybe the reason his wife disappeared. And they were like, well, describe her, so we can put a missing persons report out. He had no idea what her height or weight was. But then, which I could like sort of understand, like, I don't think about how tall my husband is. I don't know how much he weighs. And so I was like, I told him once, I'm like, we need to know how tall the other one is, or we're gonna look suspicious if we ever go missing. To be fair, the guy in this story, like, couldn't even tell them her birthday or something really that he like
Oh
absolutely should
gosh.
have known. That was like, sir, do you know your wife? But no, I'm very bad at judging like heights or distances. 'Cause we'll
Okay.
like, when I take my son to doctor's appointments or whatever, they'll be like, "How tall is he?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like, this is where he
Don't you
comes up
measure him
to.
here?
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes if you take him to, like, the dentist or the eye doctor, they'll ask you, especially if in the future they're gonna need to, like, put them under anesthesia or something, they'll be like, "How tall are they? How much do they weigh?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I can tell you how tall I am. I can tell you where I come up to when standing next to my husband and where my son comes up to on me."
Sure.
Like, and I really don't think about anyone's weight ever. So
But you can't be too specific if one of you is missing because then it's going to look
they're gonna
suspicious
be
as
like, "She
well.
planned for this." Yeah.
Exactly. He's exactly 5'10" and 7/8, 145
Yeah.
kilos, point
Yeah.
0.8.
Yeah.
Like, can't be too,
Yeah.
and can't write it off too quick either.
Yep. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's true too.
Like, happy medium.
Okay, so that all being said, I loved when they reunite and the way they hug each other is just, like, very funny. So they continue on their trip with their, like, really jacked up car because I think they just get, like, really bad wheels put on
Yeah,
and
they
just
have
keep
bald
driving.
tires and
Yeah. So they're almost to Phoenix. They're like, "This is great. We're almost there. It's gonna be fine." Except that this is when we realize that Aunt Edna has died.
yep,
Yep.
that's it. There's no setup. She's dead
Yep. Just randomly passed away, we assume from old age, like, while riding in the car.
or heat. I don't know. She's in that
Or
car in
he
the desert for a
yeah,
long
it's true.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've realized she's passed, so of course they pull over, and everyone and the luggage, of course, falls off again because they stop so
Of
hard,
course, yes.
and everyone just flees the car. And Audrey's like, "She breathed on me. She breathed on me. A dead person breathed on me."
Yeah.
And I don't what?
Right?
Those two things
What?
can't exist. I thought that was a good line.
I don't know. I thought this was kinda silly about, like, none of them wanting to get back in the car with her because it's I mean, first of all, the right answer here is, like, you're gonna call 911, right? You're not gonna, like, keep the dead body with you. But their solution is to put her on top of the car with the luggage. I was laughing so hard because
Yeah,
she's in an upright position,
sure
like a
is.
seated like, she's stuck in a seated position. Like, they don't wanna make it obvious, so they just, like, wrap a blanket around her, except they tighten the blanket around her too, so it's, like, so obvious
Mhm.
that it's a
Yeah.
body, like, it's the shape of a body. You know what this is. I thought this was so funny, especially because it starts storming, and so it's, like, almost like horror movie vibes because you have this, like, wrapped body that looks like almost, like, demonic, like it's a cloak for, like, this evil thing because it's like a dark blanket,
Yes.
and they even said something like, "It never rains here," so of course it's, like, storming really bad, but they're just driving through the streets of Phoenix with a dead body in a thunderstorm.
Yeah, and the whole time they can't get a hold of cousin Normie for whatever reason, and Clark's getting pissy because obviously they have the situation to deal with, but even if they didn't, they're supposed to bring her there, and
Yeah,
he's
to
not home.
stay. Right.
Part of the vibe I'm getting is, like, no one wants to be around Aunt Edna. Like, even Eddie's getting rid of her. Eddie, who
Yes.
needs her
Who
money.
needs her checks? Yeah. Yeah, that's what struck me too, is that he knew she was coming, whether it was a visit or to stay with him, whatever the situation is. And he's like, "I'll be back on Monday." So you assume it would put them out for a few days. The Griswolds obviously have somewhere else they're heading toward. We assume they only have so much vacation time. What did this man think was going to happen? I mean, surely he didn't think his mom was going to die on the way there, but like this still wasn't really going to be a great situation for them
Right.
either way because they can't even like leave like the house is locked up so they can't even leave her there like alone for the weekend like if she can be alone.
You're
Do you know
right,
what I
and
mean? Yeah.
they just left her corpse on the bench.
Instead, they just left her corpse in the backyard.
Ellen says, "I hope you kids learned something. Yeah, don't die if no one's home." Which, of course, this is Ellen's aunt, so she is the most upset out of the group. She thinks what they're
Yeah.
doing is not right, which kind of makes it funny because even the kids are like, "Oh, f this. We don't
Yeah.
want. Let's leave the body here. Let's continue."
But it's also, like, so funny that the kids are like, "No, I don't wanna ride all the way like, the rest of the way to Wally World with the dead body," and it's like, "Well, actually, you don't have to do that either. Just
No,
call a hospital."
call somebody.
Yeah, call somebody.
Turn back
Um,
around and leave her at the truck stop.
didn't they propose that at one point? And they're like, "Well, Norman will be able to find her because of the buzzards."
Yeah. Yes. I think Rusty said that.
Oh, God. Yeah. Okay.
Well, after
Oh,
all this
I was just gonna say we haven't really mentioned Christy Brinkley sort of following
oh,
along on this road trip.
yeah, I kept meaning to bring that up, but then we haven't.
Yes,
The first time we see her was before the rest stop where I think before they have Aunt Edna.
I think
And,
so.
she's driving this convertible. She's kind of flirting with Clark, or Clark is imagining it. I'm not 100% sure.
She matches speed with him once in a while and will, like, smile at him and
Yeah.
stuff.
And then she speeds off because she has a nicer car and he has this big, bulky green station wagon with a
Mhm.
lot of luggage on top.
Yes.
We see her again at the park when they have picked up at Edna and they have the dog. She's actually like outside, like I think stretching or doing something weird or
Mhm.
no, dancing. There's music playing from her car and like Clark's dancing with the sandwich.
Yeah,
That's, then we
which
find out
all
all the
of it's
sandwiches
weird.
are, yeah, and we find out all the sandwiches are wet because the dog peed on them. That's
Yeah,
not fun. Mm.
it's
But yeah, it
gross.
seems like she is also presumably going to Wally World because we keep seeing her over and over again on this trip.
Mhm. Yeah,
After we
and
drop off Aunt Edna, though, everyone's done and they're so close to the finish line. Like, let's just go home. We've had a week.
mhm.
And Clark loses his ever loving mind. If the psycho bit was enough to get you an R rating, his spiel definitely was. He drops like 15 F bombs, lots of threatened violence to his
Yeah, to
family,
its
maybe
children.
himself too.
Yep.
It's a little bit of a rant. And I feel like this happens in other vacation movies. I know it happens at Christmas Vacation when he gets the Jelly of the Month club. He just like loses his, like, I've had enough.
Yeah,
Um, so he threatens everyone to have a good time or else. But I
yeah,
like this other side of Clark because he's so bumbling and doofusy and corny. And he's like, "You better strap in, mother effers, because we're going, or
yeah,
you don't want to find out what's going to happen to you."
yep. Yeah, and you're right, it's similar to when he loses his shit with the lack of a bonus in Christmas Vacation, but this one was just, like, a lot more vulgar, I guess. But yeah, basically scares everyone into continuing vacation. I mean, it's not a family vacation if you don't have at least one fight. Oh,
Yeah,
everyone's really tired at some point.
and Edna's very tired.
Shut But we bring up the Christy Brinkley character because this is when they end up at another motel. He goes alone to the restaurant
Hmm.
and runs into her, right? And he is pretending to not be a man on a family vacation and is trying to flirt with her. And they end up in the pool together, I guess skinny dipping. And
Yeah.
it looked like he still had his socks on when he dove in, which is personally very gross to me.
Also weird. Like, who
Also
likes wet
weird.
socks? Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, him and Ellen have a little bit of a fight because everything going on. He's like pushing on, and I think she calls him selfish and pigheaded, something like that. So he's
Yeah.
gonna go off to have his own time. And there's a scene at the bar. He keeps sitting by different people, and they're like kind of like blocking your seat, like the seat's taken, or he sits by a woman, and some guy comes from behind him's like, "Get out of my seat, bud." But
Mhm.
then here's this woman that's been following him, or vice versa. And he says that he actually owns all these hotels. He just pretends to have a family so no one knows who he is or something, some weird story like that. And she clearly
Yeah.
isn't buying it, but she's still kind of letting him flirt with her and have this
Yes.
like, I don't know, this back and forth. I don't know if you recognize this scene, whether it was you've seen it before or the VH1 great 80s movies, but where he's, like, by the pool after she's naked and dives in, he's just like, "This is crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy." Like, I only think of that line when I think of this movie, or maybe I think of it right away, not only, but I'll see that on commercials for the movie on like next on TNT, vacation, and that just scene of him shirtless doing that.
I actually hadn't.
Whoa.
Yeah, I had mostly seen clips of them in the car, mostly the clip of them, like, when they actually get to Wally World.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was not familiar with this, but, it was funny. It's a very Clark Griswold moment. I don't know how
Yeah.
else to say it.
Yeah. So yeah, she's already in the pool, skinny dipping. We don't see anything. And that's very important. Clark dives in. This is like 2 a.m. The pool is not heated,
Yeah,
and he is a giant baby about it and
he really is.
screams loud enough that it wakes up the entire motel.
Yeah,
And
he's just, like,
everyone comes to the
screaming.
balcony and their door to look like I don't know if someone was in the pool saying cold, cold, the water's cold, and I woke me up, I would not have to come running like, what's going on out here, man? Like it's very weird, but
Also, like, why do you have to scream so loud about it? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. This was weird. Like, I understand we need a way for Ellen to catch him, but it was
yeah,
just like, "Oh my god, you dumb baby." Like, shut up. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It was so weird to me, but yes, everyone comes running out like there's a murder happening and everyone is on their balconies. And I kind of hate that when he tells Christy Brinkley's character that he has to go, he's like, "I'd stay if I wasn't married." And I just like, I don't know, I hate that. I feel like he's so disrespectful to his wife sometimes, and I don't know, he
yeah,
just dragged them across the country and put them through all this bullshit just for her to find him naked in a pool with another woman, like, that's shit. Like,
yeah, yeah. He tries to go up to apologize. He has another heart to heart with Rusty. And he's like, he said, so he gives him a story about what happened. And he's like, oh, that's great, Dad. You think mom's going to buy that one? Go
yeah.
to bed, Russ.
Yeah. Yep.
Ellen's upset, rightfully so, right? But she's like, all right, you want to have some fun? Let's have some fun. And they go back to the pool and she gets naked and dives in. And again, we see topless Beverly D'Angelo. And if I was surprised the first time, I'm definitely surprised the second time.
Yes.
This is way more, even though the first one was really quick. This is like more quick somehow, which is good. It's like enough to like, oh goodness, shock value, but not enough to like be too in your face about it, I guess I want to say.
Sure.
I don't
I mean,
know.
I feel like
It's
both
not
times
Porky's.
it's no Porkies, but, still, like, neither time felt necessary other than they just, I don't know, probably wanted a topless woman in their movie.
Oh yeah, I agree. I don't think other time was necessary, especially the shower scene. That scene, like I've never seen this scene before because I've realized I've only seen this on TV, and that's clearly
Mhm.
cut the entire thing because why have it? And so they go
Yeah.
from sleep driving, getting to the motel to the scene where they're in their pajamas on the bed having a
Mhm.
conversation. It all makes sense. Like the whole
Yeah,
shower scene
yeah,
is not necessary. They just wanted Beverly D'Angelo to have, you know, the girls out or whatever.
yeah.
What is surprising that she did it twice, and I've never seen this before where I've seen this in other movies. She doesn't do this. We go, as you mentioned, down in rating, not up.
Mhm.
So there's no scene in Christmas Vacation where it's randomly topless Beverly D'Angelo, right?
Right.
Could you imagine? So I kind of looked this up, was wondering, not that I needed more random naked ladies in the movie, but I was like kind of curious. Like, it's funny that they make a big deal about Christy Brinkley, and
Mhm.
I expected to see like a butt shot or something from her, and not the main star topless
Mhm.
twice. So I kind of looked this up. 'Cause I was very curious, and apparently in Brinkley's 2025 memoir Uptown Girl, she had talked about this scene, and she recalls the producers asked her to be topless, but she refused. Quote, the most memorable part of filming was the scene where I bump into Chevy's character at a motel pool and talk him into going skinny dipping, which we shot at 2 in the morning. That's when production team asked me to go topless for the shot, but I wasn't comfortable with it. I knew very well by that part of my appeal, I was a model and then had to imagine that what was underneath my swimsuit. and I wasn't about to give that away for what I thought would be a small, goofy movie. And then she notes that no one thought this would take off the way it did, be as popular. So I get it. She was a swimsuit cover model 3 consecutive years, which is unheard of at the time. And yeah, like part of the allure is like what's under the hood, so to speak. And why give
Sure.
that away and then lose maybe that mystique, so to speak?
Yeah. Although I guess both her and Lindsay Buckingham thought that this was going nowhere, so they were like, "Fuck it." Like,
But yeah. So how'd Beverly get naked? Well, she came to save the day, basically, from what I understand. Beverly said she loved the story, and it sounded exactly where she'd step in and say, "Leave this girl alone." I don't think they felt like she was being bullied, but there was some pressure on the model. And I don't know if they shot this in order or not. Maybe they did, considering they literally road tripped for production. So, in theory, Beverly has already been topless, right?
yeah, if
Uh,
they filmed it in order of location, yeah.
yeah. Who knows? But Beverly goes on to say, this is with Fox News Digital interview, her being topless wasn't really that pivotal to what was going on in the scene, but I thought it really made a difference to see the little devoted wife say to her husband, "Okay, you want to have fun? I'll show you fun." And then just strip off. I thought that was really great. I thought it was really perfect. So I didn't have any qualms about it. In fact, I have to say, people ask me, what would you say to your younger self? And I would say, do more nudity. I read a little bit more of the interview I didn't put here, but she had mentioned that, her being an actress, and then this is Chrissy Brinkley's first role, and just again,
Mm.
a model in a movie at the time. Beverly goes on to say, like, we're actors, we use our expressions, our face, our body to tell a story. This girl's not used to that. So I'll do it. I'll take the bullet.
No, I get what both of them were saying. I understand Christy Brinkley not wanting to be fully naked, like you said, especially her whole career being like a swimsuit model. I understand that. I feel a little better about having the topless scenes knowing Beverly D'Angelo was so okay with it. I still don't feel like they were necessary, but, like, if she's cool with it, then whatever.
Right. The pool one is whatever. I get her logic. There's another quote I didn't put in there, but she says something like, "If they want titties, I'll give them titties," or something like that. And
She is
she
game for, like,
yeah, she was definitely
whatever.
game.
Yeah.
The shower scene, I don't it was just the scene itself didn't add anything to the story. The pool one makes more sense in context of what's going on. Shower scene was just there.
Obviously, we're all capable of shooting a woman from, like, you know, collarbone up or whatever because they did it with Christy Brinkley, so it's like,
Right.
I don't know. It's whatever to me. But moving past all this, the Griswolds finally make it to Wally World. The exterior and the parking lot of Wally World is Santa Anita Park in Arcadia, California. The interior and the rides were Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia, California. I know how this ended because, like I said, I've seen some of the clips, especially from the end. And it kills me that they were not tipped off by this completely empty parking lot. They're just like, "Oh, we got here early." And it's like, "Well, did you?"
We're the first ones here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, because I mean, I went to Cedar Point a lot when I was younger 'cause of where we grew up, and then went to Dollywood once when we were on vacation with my in-laws, and even when you get there early, still pretty crowded in the parking lot.
There's cars.
There's cars, yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, like, very Clark Griswold when they have this, like, moose that they're so the moose is supposed to be like Mickey Mouse, it's the main Wally World character, right?
Yep.
The moose has a recording that says they're closed for cleaning and maintenance, and he ends up, like, punching out the moose,
Yeah.
and, they kinda, like, break in, they come across these 2 security guards, and one of the guards first of all, one of the guards is John Candy, we should mention that. You know what? I bet where I recently saw a lot of this was from the John Candy documentary now that I'm thinking about it. And one of the guards, I can't remember which one it is, says to the kids, "Has your father ever killed anyone before?" Because, like, Clark had run off to, like, a sporting goods store and now has a gun. And one of the kids says, "Just a dog and my Aunt Edna."
Yeah. I like John Candy in this role because it's not what I think of when I think of John Candy.
Mhm.
And he basically looks like John Candy doing a Rick Moranis role.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the glasses obviously, but just his characteristics, his mannerisms, how he's speaking.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny seeing him being a little bit different.
Mhm. Yeah, because the way he, like, purses his mouth out when he speaks, that
Yeah.
is very I could totally see that now. He does have mannerisms that remind me of Rick Moranis in the first Ghostbusters.
Hmm.
Yeah, wow, okay.
Extra good
I
at
kn
my game.
I knew I know. I knew he didn't feel like a regular John Candy role in this, but I couldn't think of what else it reminded me of, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
They ride rides together, and most of the time he's at gunpoint, John Candy, his character. And they get to a roller coaster, they're sitting next to each other, and he calls him out. It's like, that's not a real gun. And almost like kind of tells him to shoot him or whatever. It's like, no, it's a BB gun. You can't do anything with a BB gun. He's like, I could shoot your eye out with this thing. And of course, I only think of another movie when I hear that.
Of course, yeah.
Another Christmas classic, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah.
But John Candy tries to escape. He shoots him in the butt with the BB. He's like, ow, it hurts. I think he drew blood.
But also, it was so weird to me that they were making the security guard ride everything with them.
Well, someone had to set the rides in motion, I guess, or maybe he was a hostage. Like,
Oh,
because there was
yeah.
another security guard, and now they have a hostage, so they can't just stop him. But the other security guard ends up calling the cops, we assume, because the cops show up. Like the whole
Yeah, and
SWAT team.
"They made me act like a dog," which they really did, because they were like 'cause it was normal at first where they were like, "Put your hands up, like, kneel on the ground," and then he's like, "Roll over, do this."
Yeah, it was
It's
very
like
weird.
it's yeah, and it was funny to me because the way this whole team, like, this whole squad of cops comes in, it is like, "Oh, so you really have been through this before?" Because I thought of the ending of Christmas Vacation.
Yep.
And I think what's the line she has in Christmas Vacation? Like, "This is our first kidnapping," or something? But it's like
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but it's not your first time being raided by a police force.
Not their first kidnapping either. I would say that John Candy's
That was
character
a
is,
kidnapping, yeah.
yeah, he is held against his will on a roller coaster.
Yeah. This guy also, it's so stupid they bring out, like, the CEO, Roy Wally, to this event.
Yeah. Like, only he can defuse a situation, not the entire California police squad.
Yeah, but I thought it was so funny when Clark's like, "Imagine," like, he's like, "Where do you go on vacation?" He's like, "Florida." And he's like, "Imagine if you went to Florida and you spent all this time getting there, blah, 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 and then it's closed." And he goes, "Oh, they don't close Florida."
Right. It's a metaphor, sir.
Yeah, he delivered that line so great too.
I thought it was funny when the cops show up at the park and they have everyone, put their hands up and they zip tie or cuff them all, but only Clark has the gun, which is not real. And he tells them that. But somehow Clark is allowed to walk around with Roy Wally while his family is held like they're prisoners. And he was the
Right.
one with the gun.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like him and Roy just like walk casually around the entrance of the park having this heart to heart, which ends up in favor of the Griswolds because he's not pressing charges.
Yeah,
But I thought that was weird.
that is weird. I wonder if they thought they could, like, diffuse the situation or something, like, talk him down that way.
So we've talked about Roy Wally. He's not in the movie very long, but he is played by Eddie Bracken. I forget he's in this movie. I only know this movie, or I only know this actor from two other roles, and he is a great silver haired gentleman. He is the toy store owner from Home Alone 2, something Duncan or
Okay.
Duncan something.
Okay.
And I believe he's also in, one of the kid baseball movies. He's the like bumbling owner, maybe rookie of the year. But I
Okay.
specifically know he's Duncan from Duncan's Toys in Home Alone 2.
So the original ending was, instead of them, like, taking the security guard hostage and riding the rides, the Griswolds break into Roy Wally's home,
Hmm.
shoot him in the leg, and
Oh,
take him hostage, And I believe there was something about making him and his, like, staff at his big house dance and entertain them because they didn't get to be Yes.
What?
Because they didn't get to go to the
Uh,
amusement park, so they're like, "Okay, be our amusement park here in your home," while he has a bullet in his leg, and they actually
okay.
filmed this, okay? It went over very poorly when they did test screenings, so poorly that they went back and reshot this whole different ending with, the John Candy character. Apparently, Anthony Michael Hall had grown, like, 3 inches or something because they had
Hmm.
finished the shoot, you know, edited the movie, post-production, everything, and they were doing test screenings. Then they had to go back and reshoot this whole new ending. So apparently he is noticeably taller in the ending. However, I did not notice this. I think I was just more focused on, like, John Candy and, Clark Griswold holding a gun on him, but
Right.
and also they're, like, on rides for some of it, I don't know. He's, like, sitting down. He's also in a car for a lot of the movie, so I think I just, like,
Good
didn't
point too,
notice.
yeah.
But, yeah, so they had to redo this entire ending, and I don't remember who it was, maybe it was that producer we talked about in the beginning, Maddie something, or
Maddie
maybe it was
something.
Harold Ramis, but one of them said something like, "The Griswolds don't do home invasion," or something like that, or, like, it was just, like, too much violence for it to go with the rest of the movie, and also it was, like, on purpose home invasion and violence instead of this accidental stuff we've seen through the rest of the movie, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so this I mean, I definitely like this better than
Oh,
whatever that
absolutely.
sounds like. I mean, and that
Yeah.
also sounds like your park is closed, entertain us, like, dance. I don't like how this sounds, but this is pretty much where we end the movie with, like, the Roy Wally Wallace, is that his name? With
Wally
this
World.
character yeah, with this character being kinda like, "You're right."
Yep. No charges.
And, like, don't all the cops ride a ride with them or something?
Oh, yeah, 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 they get back on the rides.
Yeah, they get back on the rides, basically.
Hallelujah. And that's it.
Yep.
That
That's it.
that's that is though. I don't know.
Yep. Any other thoughts?
Because they take Ed and Edna to Phoenix and they're driving from Chicago to California, it does remind me a little bit of my grandma who moved to Phoenix. I was
Mhm.
elected to drive her across country. So between the grandma in the car and the cross country and specifically Phoenix,
Yeah.
it made a little, personal connection there.
I hope nothing else similar to this movie happened on your trip.
No, we didn't accidentally kill any dogs. Nobody died. No one took any hostages. We almost got ran off the road from a sleeping truck driver. I had to like beat the horn and pulled into the, shoulder real quick. So that was exciting.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah,
Um, well, our movie, Vacation, $15 million budget, earned 61 million, was widely considered a hit. So good job, Chevy Chase and National Lampoon. You got yourselves out of a rut, I guess. It was released in a summer movie season that was considered very competitive. Okay, the article I read made it sound like it debuted at number one ahead of Jaws 3D and Return of the Jedi. However, it was not opening weekend for all of these movies. Jaws
mm,
3D and Return of the Jedi had been out for a while, so that makes it a little less or a little more understandable, a little less impressive. It's not like everyone was like, "Forget Return of the Jedi, let's go see this National Lampoon
yeah,
movie."
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Although I
It
would probably say forget Jaws 3D.
yeah,
Uh,
actually, one of the original scripts they had pitched, that National Lampoon had pitched was something like it was called something like Jaws 3 People Zero, and it was gonna be a spoof on, like, Jaws type movies, and it was all set to be made, but then Steven Spielberg was like, "No, I will sue you." So the studio
ah,
dropped it. But also, Vacation ended up being the year's 3rd highest grossing comedy. It was behind Trading Places and Mr. Mom. Mr. Mom, also written by John Hughes, which I think
of
we had
course.
mentioned before in another episode. Critics' reviews were mixed, but leaned toward positive. Obviously, like, this kinda humor isn't for everyone. There are always gonna be critics who are like, "This is just stupid, the end." But
Yeah.
there were a lot of critics saying it was the best National Lampoon movie since Animal House, that they had really, like, revived the brand, and I mean, apparently that was all true considering, like, box office return and, like I said, the movies that were on those lists that you and I had never heard of
Yeah.
between Animal House and this. It's credited with station wagons falling out of popularity. Uh, from what I understand, I kind of feel like we were moving into the age of, like, minivans and SUVs sort of anyway from what the articles made it sound like, but this definitely didn't help the situation. And then also, people link this movie with using Wally World as a nickname for Walmart, and I was not really understanding the connection there. I know, like, I've heard people call Walmart Wally World before. Notably, is they use Wally without the E when referring to Walmart. In the movie, there's an E. I don't really understand why this movie is credited with it, other than just, like, it gave us the name Wally World, and then maybe people decided just start using that for Walmart?
That is literally the only answer.
Yeah, I
Like,
just
people call it I bet you a lot of people that call it Wally World don't even know the reference. They probably heard other people call it Wally World, but
yeah.
I think it's became one of those things where I don't know if people can cite the source of why they're calling it a nickname, but, the only reason would be because of the movie.
When I was younger, I would hear people call it Wally World the same way people would say Target for Target,
Yeah.
but I was not familiar with these movies, so, like, I always took it as, like, because Walmart's crazy, like, like the people of Walmart website kinda thing, like, "It's Wally World, it's nuts in there." But, yeah, I never thought of it in relation to this movie just because I wasn't really familiar with them, but then also after I became aware of this movie, I knew that the Griswolds were going to Wally World in the movie. I still wasn't like, "Oh, yeah, that's why we call Walmart that." Like, I never saw it as, like, connected. It just happened to be the same phrase.
Yeah, I wouldn't overthink it, though. I don't know if people saw this movie and said, "We're gonna call Walmart that." I just think it was just something that happened and it stuck. Like you said, Walmart is a different world altogether. But also, like, I don't know, sometimes you go to Walmart and you get there and you're like, "Oh, this is disappointing." So
Yeah.
there's that.
Uh, but obviously, most people involved in this had very good careers ahead of them. Chevy
Mhm.
Chase, Harold Ramis, John Hughes, even Anthony Michael Hall. It's not like Beverly D'Angelo didn't have movies after this as well. Obviously,
Right.
she still played Ellen in many more movies. I actually looked up the actress who played Audrey because, like, I don't remember seeing her in anything, and I actually thought she was, like, really funny in this movie.
Yeah.
It's a different take than Juliette Lewis, but she was still, like, just a really good, like, sarcastic teenager, like a mouthy, bratty teenager.
Yeah.
She's still working, but it's more like bit parts on television shows and things like that. So she's still had a career. I just don't know if she's ever had, like, as big of a role or as notable of as a role. So, yeah, if you would like to discuss our sequels, you can go ahead.
Okay. So let's talk sequels. As you mentioned, Ellen's back, Chevy's back, right? But we get a new director. It's National Lampoon's European Vacation, July 26, 1985, directed by Amy Heckerling. Our friend Amy's back, or I guess before Clueless, but back for us.
That's okay. I said John Hughes was back.
I didn't even realize that she did this movie before.
I had forgotten.
This one's another one I think I've only seen on TV, and not for. I didn't seek it out. It was just on, and I watched it. I feel like kind of both Vacation and European Vacation just, oh, they have Vacation in the title. I'm going to watch it because I like the Christmas one.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is based on characters by John Hughes. However, he only received nominal credit for writing the story due to the use of characters and ideas from the first Vacation film, he was not directly involved with European Vacation. He would later state that Warner Brothers had begged him for a sequel to Vacation, but he declined at the time. He would eventually agree to return to the franchise by doing Christmas 59, which turned into National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation in 1989, which we had discussed before. This is the one that John Hughes seemed very grumpy about in our Christmas Vacation episode. He stated that any involvement he had in any sequels were done under duress, but stressed that this one was made without him.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. It's almost like a hostage situation.
Yes, yes. So was he actually a co-writer on the screenplay, or was he just credited because he had come up with the original characters, like, in the
He-
last movie?
They gave him the credit, but I don't believe he actually sat down and typed anything. He was
I see.
just
Okay.
given the credit because of the characters were his, the situation is similar vacation type movie. I also, it's not stated, but I think they also kind of use his name as leverage. Like, oh, written by John Hughes.
Mm,
Yeah.
gotcha. Like you do.
Like you do.
Oh, yeah, and this came out in '85.
So Chevy and Beverly, they come back and they're going to bring the kids back. This is a sequel film. Producer Maddie Simmons initially told Dana Barron that she would be returning for her role, but after Anthony Michael Hall declined to come back because he was opting out to do Weird Science, another John Hughes movie,
Mhm.
Heckerling actually requested that both children be recast. She figured not bring back one if you're not bringing back both.
Sure.
But I think they did a better job in European Vacation at making the kids look similar from what my memory is playing back in my head. That's kind of funny how the two kids in the third movie look completely different.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't seen European Vacation, after the trip to Wally World, the Griswolds go on a game show and win an all expensive paid European vacation, which is actually kind of nice to hear because usually the Griswolds go through some shit. Like, nothing goes their way.
Yeah, that's true.
First is England. Clark is having a hard time driving the other side of the road and gets into accidents. Plenty
Of
of
course.
accidents, as I'm sure you could imagine watching Vacation. Like, he seems to not pay attention when he's driving.
Yes.
So, yeah, Clark gets a lot of accidents. One particular accident he gets into is Eric Idle of Monty Python fame. He has a bit part, he's a bike rider that the Griswolds run over. He gets up, he just got he's very polite, he's very English. He has a flesh wound. They offer to take him to the hospital. He said, "No, I'll walk there or whatever." At another point, Clark gets stuck in a busy roundabout on Lambeth Bridge. And then at Stonehenge, Clark backs into one of the pillars and knocks him over, kind of like a domino situation.
Of course he does. Also, whenever something like this is brought up about roundabouts, I just think of when The Simpsons went to England and they're like, just keep turning." And they're like in the
Yeah.
roundabout all day.
Yes.
Yes.
That's basically what happened. Yeah. They were stuck there for a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
All right. Over to France. While they're in Paris, their camcorder gets stolen by a stranger who they ask to take their photo. For some reason, the Griswolds all get matching berets, but after Rusty gets mocked on the top of the Eiffel Tower, Clark throws it over the ledge. This is after they have like another Rusty Clark moment, by the way.
Mm.
So he makes him feel better by throwing his beret off the top of the Eiffel Tower. And for some reason, there is a dog up there, and the dog jumps over the edge to retrieve like a frisbee, I guess, if you will.
Mhm.
Luckily, he or she, the dog, lands into a fountain.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
mm,
good at least. I would
yeah, they kind of maybe
I'd
took
like to
the
not have another dog death.
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe they learned from their previous film's mistake.
Yeah.
So at night, while still in Paris, Clark and Ellen go to a dance club and they find Rusty there with a prostitute. I forget exactly the situation. He feels a little bit more confident now that his beret is gone because some girl teens mocked him.
Okay.
I don't know if he knew she was a prostitute. I don't remember that part.
Huh. Do
Um,
we know how old he's supposed to be in this movie?
they're all perpetually just kids. Like,
Yeah, like, that's
they're
the
just
thing.
kids.
I think, like, when I was reading things about vacation, they said the kids were 14 and 15 or, like, supposed to be 14 and 15. To me, I'd be like, "You're 10." Like, I don't know. They just
They're
read as
definitely
so
not
much
10.
younger. I don't know, they read as so young to me.
No, I would have youngest I would have given them is 13.
Yeah.
They're definitely like teens.
But then I feel like Rusty's even younger in Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, he's also a foot shorter.
Yeah,
And
you
then
know.
I don't know if it's because of the height, but in Vacation and European Vacation, I thought Rusty might have been older because they don't really give you any context clues. But then opposite in Christmas Vacation, I think he's younger.
You mean
Part
like
of it's his
he's the
height.
older sibling,
Yes, sorry.
and then, like, in Christmas Vacation, he's the younger sibling. Yeah,
It
that's the impression I got too, but I
it
don't know if
just
that's correct.
the roles feel flipped the way she talks to him as siblings
Mhm.
in that movie versus the other two. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter though. Obviously,
Just
Amy
go with
Heckerling
it, yeah.
started a fad of changing the kids every movie,
Yeah, and
which is
not
kind of
just
funny.
changing the actors, just ambiguous ages, different
Mhm.
heights, whatever.
Yeah. On to Germany. The Griswolds are attempting to visit an extension of their family, but of course, it goes wrong because they get the wrong address and they burst into an unexpected elderly couple. Neither the elder couple or the Griswolds speak each other's languages, but they still take them in, they feed them, they give them a place to stay the night. The next day, they take him to a festival where Clark somehow turns a traditional Bavarian dance into a street fight. Yeah, I think he, is spastically dancing and
Yeah,
hits somebody, or I think maybe the dance is aggressive and he gets pushed around and he takes it too far, as Clark does. I remember this scene, but not all the exact details.
okay.
But eventually, there's a big Bavarian street fight. Everyone's in lederhosen and green hats, and they get in a car and they try to drive away. And they
Yeah,
drive through a very narrow archway and
mhm,
get stuck and they abandon the rental car.
okay.
And somehow they end up in Italy. So while in Rome, the Griswolds need yet another car to rent for, obvious reasons here.
Yeah.
They go to a rental office and they are unaware it's being robbed. The thieves are kind of like feigning that they own the place so they don't get caught, I guess. They sell them a car or rent to them a car. And in the trunk of the car is the actual manager of the rental office. And when they're like expecting the car, the thief is like, "Oh yeah, the trunk's just busted. We'll take off $50 or something like that." I vaguely remember this scene.
Okay.
So they're driving around Rome with a hostage, unbeknownst to them, in the trunk of their car. Hmm.
Yeah.
This time, not their fault. While driving around, they see a billboard poster with Ellen on it. So you remember the camcorder that got stolen in France? Well,
Yeah.
apparently there were some steamy photos Clark took of Ellen, which he promised were erased because when they get stolen, she makes a comment like, "Clark, the photos." He's like, "Oh, I erased those, honey." And you can tell he didn't erase those because Clark is a bad liar. Well, the billboard used those photos to advertise porn
With Ellen on them.
with Ellen. Yep. Poor
Okay.
Ellen. So she gets mad, storms off. She apparently runs into one of the thieves that had sold them the rental car and just like confesses and vents. Cops end up showing up and they take Helen hostage. There's a chase, and eventually the thieves get arrested. On the flight back, Clark doesn't know what a WC is and bumbles into the cockpit that causes the plane to lose altitude and clips the torch of the Statue of Liberty.
Okay.
Howdy ho. I don't know if that song's in this movie. I hope it is.
If we ever go on a trip, I'm gonna make a playlist, that's gonna be the first song.
First, third, 15th,
Yeah.
27th. So, movie grossed just under $12.5 million its opening weekend, ranking number one in the box office. The New York Times thought positively of the film, stating the film's best visual humor arises from the mere juxtaposition of European settings with the funny hats, t shirts, and soda cans with which the Griswolds announced their presence. And I think it's funny because as Americans, we're like, oh, yeah, it's totally us. God, we look stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of both poking fun at the different cultures is like they're all as they go through the countries, there's like stereotypical interactions. Like they run over a man and he's super polite to them. I believe in
Mhm,
France, they're more snooty. And
mhm.
so, but we also poke the finger back at us and we look like a bunch of dumb tourists. So, Rotten Tomatoes give this movie a score of 37%
Oh,
with an average of 5.1 out of 10.
okay.
The consensus reads European Vacation charts a course through a succession of pretty destinations, but the journey itself lacks the laughs that made the original outing so memorable.
Kinda standard review for a sequel, I feel.
Yeah, they kind of do the same thing. They basically go on a European road trip
Yeah.
through like, five rental cars, but, it's there.
Mhm.
Variety magazine gave the film a negative review, explaining, quote, as the family of characters cartwheel through London, Paris, Italy, and Germany, with the French deliciously taking it on the chin for their arrogance and rudeness, director Amy Heckerling gets carried away with physical humor while letting the American tourist grow tiresome and predictable. Structurally, the film unfolds like a series of travel brochures. Ouch.
Isn't Paramount was like, "It's too episodic" for the first one, so
This
this
one
one
felt more
probably even
so.
more so, yeah.
Yeah. We'll touch on the other sequels here, but if you want more in depth, as Rachel mentioned at the beginning of the episode 26 is Christmas Vacation in our 2025 holiday season. That being said, Christmas Vacation, 1989, the film tells the story of Clark Griswold's efforts to have a good old fashioned family Christmas, even as those efforts take a chaotic turn for the worst. Based on John Hughes' story Christmas 59 for the National Lampoon magazine, John Hughes felt this was an exception to his quote, no sequels rule because he could adapt this entirely different story. It made sense to have a separate movie about this family at Christmas. And I feel it feels that way. I feel like this is
Mhm.
more of a disconnect here than the other two, but maybe that's why we like it more.
That's possible too. Like, I understood John Hughes's reasoning that this felt different, it's a different type of story, but yeah, like, you could see how Vacation and European Vacation are just, like, pretty much similar format, kinda same things, just different location.
Yeah. According to Hughes, he said that the studio was begging for another vacation movie and, quote, those movies have become little more than Chevy Chase vehicles at this stage.
Sorry, John
That's
Hughes.
fair. Yeah, it is,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
Vegas Vacation, 1997. It tells the story of Clark Griswold taking his family to Las Vegas to renew his vows to Ellen. Vegas Vacation is the first theatrical vacation film to not carry the National Lampoon label or have any involvement from John Hughes. Also, this is the final film to take place during the original storyline, as well as the last release before National Lampoon magazine had folded.
I didn't realize they didn't have the National Lampoon name on this one.
I don't think I did either because it was just Vegas Vacation, Christmas Vacation, European Vacation.
Well, yeah, because no one says the whole title. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I never really realized that officially it is not National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised at the no John Hughes involvement necessarily just based on his opinions. Um,
Yeah.
well, but it's so funny because, like, I literally remember when this movie came out just seeing the poster, like, as a kid.
Mhm.
Like I said, I had never seen any of these, but John Hughes had that quote about they've mostly become Chevy Chase vehicles. You know, when I was a kid and I wasn't aware of, like, SNL yet, I literally just knew Chevy Chase as the guy from the vacation movies, and I didn't even really know what the vacation movies were,
Right.
but, like, at the video store, you would see them.
Someone says Chevy Chase.
Mhm.
These movies come up first in my head. Yeah, sure he's done plenty others. I know he has done plenty others. But
Yeah,
this one, these whole series, first thing that comes in my head. Like they're Chevy Chase movies, not John Hughes movies, because he's only done two of them, technically anyway.
yeah. Well, and I also until we were doing research for Christmas Vacation, I didn't realize how short of a time he was on Saturday Night Live either.
Right.
So, even when I was, like, a little older, like, teenager age and was sort of starting to watch Saturday Night Live, and I swear they would rerun, like, the old episodes or, like, bits of the old episodes on different cable networks. He still wasn't even in that many episodes,
No.
and, like, I don't know, because now I feel like there's that classic SNL cast, there's, like, this group of comedians that all kind of came up together, whether they're like literal actors or stand-ups or like screenwriters or they went on to be directors. And it's like he is part of that group, but then barely
Barely.
in some way. Yeah. Anyway, next Chevy Chase movie.
Well, he only had a little small role in this next one. This is
Mm,
what I would call a requel, in my
okay.
opinion, a reboot slash sequel. This is takes place around Rusty Griswold, who is now an adult. Thank God they finally grew up, right? It's only been 40 years.
Yeah.
But Rusty is now a pilot for a low budget airline, and they live in the suburb of Chicago. And apparently, he's having a little bit of a stale relationship with his wife and his two kids. So, desiring to relive his childhood family vacations and holiday gatherings, as we talked about previously, Rusty surprises his family with an alternate summer vacation rather than their annual trip to cabin in Sheboygan, who all the family apparently hates and calls it Sheboring. He plans a road trip from Chicago to Wally World, just like he did with his parents and sister.
No, man.
And I have not seen this one because at this point just stopped caring. And
Just stop caring.
I understand that Chevy and Beverly do have a little role. They're obviously playing his parents. I think we talked about this in the Christmas vacation
Oh, right.
episode.
Yes, I
Ed Helms
remember.
plays Rusty, so of course Rusty changes again.
Do you remember? Can you imagine if Johnny Galecki came back as Rusty? Like,
It would have been great
um,
if they had like all of the past Rusties do something in this movie. That'd been cool.
that would have been funny. Yeah, especially because like Johnny Galecki and Anthony Michael Hall at least are like very much still working actors. I don't know
Yeah,
about
exactly.
whoever the kid was in European Vacation
Or Vegas vacation.
or Vegas. Yeah. All right. Well, did National Lampoon's Vacation hold up for you?
I don't think so. Like, it was
Really?
fine. It was fine. There's a lot of parts I didn't remember. Some because they were clearly cut when watching it on cable. Some just were boring, I guess. It's fine. I wouldn't say no to putting it on, but I'd probably ask to pick something else.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part. I still prefer Christmas Vacation. I think that will always be the case,
Mhm.
because I have, like, an emotional connection to that movie now anyway. But I feel like if this were a time when, like, we still had cable, I'd probably, like, keep it on if I came across it just because like, it's entertaining and it has funny parts. That's fine.
Yeah.
That being said, in 2026, where we have, like, streaming services and everything, and, like, at least my family does not have cable anymore, I could not stream this on any platform that I actually have, like, I had to rent it from Amazon, so I certainly would not go out of my way to rent this. Like, if I don't know, if I needed something to put on in the background, which is usually how I consumed movies on cable when I was younger, like, put
Yes.
something on the background while I'm doing homework and whatnot, this is fine, that could be a background movie. If someone else was watching, I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, I'll watch Vacation," but, yeah, I don't know. I would not, like, pay to rent it again.
Yeah. Like I said, it's fine, but, mm, it has a as a movie, as a comedy, I think it holds up. It has funny moments, but doesn't
Mhm.
hold up to me. And I know you don't have the nostalgia factor because this is your first watch. I don't have the connection with it either. Like, some
Mm.
of the bigger moments I thought I'd like was like, "Eh." By the time they get to Wally World, I think I'm over it as well.
A lot has happened, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, let's just this I know this is the end. This is where we get to surprise John Candy. Cool, but I already saw this movie, so no surprise anymore."
Well, and it was also funny for me watching this when I had just gotten home from a road trip that we had a great time on, but we all kind of agreed toward the end, like, maybe this was a few days too long because we were all just so tired.
So you got, like, PTSD watching this.
Nah, I think I was just still really tired, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go watch this other family road trip now."
Yeah.
All right. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on National Lampoon's Vacation, as well as your own favorite summer movies. You can find us on Instagram at Back Through the Lens Pod and on Facebook at Back Through the Lens. You can also email us at backthroughthelenspodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. It's the best way to support our show. And you can now watch us on YouTube at Lucky Card Productions. We'll link everything in our show notes.
If you enjoyed our show today, please give us a like and follow for updates on new and future episodes. Our show is produced by our hosts, Rachel Campbell and myself, Joe Siomick, with additional help and support from Peter Telep of LPV Productions. Peter, Rachel, and I are also the executive producers. Our awesome logo is brought to you by Tom Faraci, and our wonderful theme song is by Matt Tarek. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more trips into our movie watching past on Back Through the Lens.
Oh, yeah, and this came out in 85.
I know, we could have done this one. Nah. Nah.
I mean, it's no
Um,
Porky's.
no, no, not even close. Nothing will beat that ever in my life.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it was so bad.